Hello and welcome to Silv3r's Spooky Sadistic Schmooze, the spookiest, scariest, something or otheriest podcast on the internet. Today I am being joined by Connor McGrath.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Of Connor McGrath YouTube channel fame. And we're just going to be talking about, just like general, story writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to, say ahead of before we get to the meat of the podcast, I guess?
Oh, I mean, I can't say anything too specific. I don't want to be like, oh, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that comes at the end. But as I outlined to you, and I don't know if you want to tell everyone kind of the little process that we're doing today, or if you want me to outline it. But while I was working on this little thing, as I mentioned to you earlier, it reminded me of my process as a DM. I write pretty regularly, but because of the format that my YouTube channel takes, it doesn't always, I don't get to engage with my own fiction very often. And so the primary output I have for that is as a DM, writing my own stories, leading my own campaign. And so it was really fun to get the opportunity to do some conceptualization, come up with some story beats and some characters that weren't attached to my own archaic, long-running project, and weren't also just a reiteration of something that someone else wrote. So it was a very fun process, and I'm excited to see how what we've been talking about develops. It's going to be cool. Everyone has a podcast. It's going to be so easy.
Yeah, well, all that I know right now is that what did I say in Discord? It's a abandoned mall, semicolon, Lovecraft.
It was that basic. No other guideline.
Basic.
Yeah. And that's great. I think that so much of writing really benefits from, actually there are two specific trains of thought that I think I could agree with independently, but also I think being given very strict rules in a writing sense can really cultivate interesting creative ideas, because when you're boxed into one lane, I think a creative enough person can find a way to take that restriction and turn it into something really interesting. But obviously on the other end of the spectrum is the idea that if you give me something very vague and very general, or more accurately, you give multiple people something very vague and very general and ask them to put those things together, I think that can cultivate some really powerful, really compelling stories. And obviously, that's the end of the spectrum that we started with today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I talked to you a little bit about this, but I mean, if you want to just even if you want to change anything that we talked about before the podcast is totally fine. But the idea is that we could both be working on the same story. One writes the beginning, one writes the end, or we can both simultaneously come up with ideas of where the story could go.
So yeah, you mentioned the idea of exquisite corpse, and that is a concept that I'm kind of vaguely familiar with, but I'm not actually sure what the process looks like. I've never done it myself. Would you mind elaborating on what that is before we decide on whether on how we want to do things?
Okay, so basically an exquisite corpse.
It's a hard word.
Yeah, an exquisite corpse is basically when an artist of any type has a start of a story or artwork, and then they hand it off to another person, but that person doesn't necessarily know exactly what the other person was going for, and then they can hand it off to another person, and the whole time you just sort of need to make assumptions based on the little, if you're doing it folded piece of paper, the little pencil marks you can see, you can from there construct the rest of the drawing, or you can just sort of, based on a few lines, decide where the story would go next.
Sure. The Gardic phone of narration,
Exactly.
collaborative
Yes.
storytelling in the most abstract of forms. I love it. I love the idea. What is your, because I actually think both are really interesting, so I'm not leaning in one direction or the other. What is your preference, that one of us writes an intro and one of us writes an ending, or is your preference that we just do it as we go? Because I don't know if I mentioned this on recording yet, but I have about 2.5 pages of prep. I have 5 characters. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 characters potentially. They don't all have to be used, and I have a bunch of random general concepts and a bunch of specific horror ideas. So if we wanted to do it based on beginnings and endings, I feel pretty confident in writing a beginning. Ending, I think, is a specific challenge, and I would be willing to attempt that too, but I'm just curious where you're at.
I mean, really, either or, but I feel like definitely because I feel like you're kind of attached to these characters that you're like, you're like, oh, I know exactly how these characters would interact with each other, how to set up stuff. I feel like I'm totally fine letting you do that.
Okay. So do you want me to do the beginning here? The little introduction?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
How? Okay, so this was the other part that we needed to figure out. How are we doing this? Am I, again, like I said, I am a DM. I am willing to just verbalize as necessary. But are we trying to write something, or are we trying to narrate something?
Up to you. I figure, if anything, what we could do is sort of a mixture of the two, where you could either like you could dictate and I could write, I guess, for the beginning, and sort of like, yeah, like there's a lot of ways we can go about it.
Sure.
It's very free form.
I have a second document here where I'm very willing to write any notes just to keep track of things. I think the video medium that we work in really benefits us in that if we forget something, it's very easy to go back and find it. How about this? How about I share with you the general starting idea I had for this location and a couple relevant characters, and then we can go from there and see what comes next, see what comes naturally, see what feels right.
And this is just random Word document with like MLA format, because I'm weird like that.
Cool. No worries. MLA format. You can tell, oh god, the influence of our generation's schooling, just the way that we were forced to learn how to write even before we knew it was something we wanted to do. Okay.
Yep.
So first things first, I don't have a name for this mall. If you had a concept for that, or if you had an idea, I'm curious about that. But I did have a generation. I was thinking that this mall closed in the 90s. I wouldn't, this is before my actual living time, so I wouldn't know well enough to say what period of the 90s. It's just kind of the general aesthetic of the 90s. Moving into the early 2000s, the style, the aesthetic, all of that good stuff. So imagine that kind of mall. And also, I believe we live in different states, and so that also is going to partially affect the aesthetic itself. Again, not certain on that. Maybe we find that out along the way. But here's what people know. In this town, this unnamed town that I, again, have not come up with a name for, there was a very popular mall. And the mall was very publicly run by a man named Eugene Porter, spelled basically the way it sounds. He was very put together, a young entrepreneur, a businessman in his, mid-20s. I want to say like 23 to 26, something in that range. Well known for beautiful, well-combed hair, well put together suits, clean, very sociable. You'd see him on late night television ads. He represented he was a figurehead in the community, and he had this mall. Again, don't have a name for it. I think that's something that we should prioritize figuring out sooner rather than later. And everyone loved it. Everyone came there, all the kids from the school, all the parents looking for ways to occupy their own kids. It had everything. It had a movie theater. It had, a huge food court with a bunch of, sponsored restaurants that all operated within. It had everything. It was truly a building block of the community, a place that maybe would have brought what I imagine to be a smaller town into, more bustling. It created jobs, it created community, it created everything. And to anyone from the outside, there's this weird branching off point where the mall was incredibly popular, and then basically without any warning, it was closed. And the information that was given was that it had, as best, like, the story changes, but like there was some health violation, or maybe the foundation was failing, and different people gave different reasons, and it was all very swept under the rug, and the mall very quickly just became another, modern ruin, for lack of a better term, a landmark of a failed business in this town. Again, we don't have any proper nouns basically at this point, other than the name of Eugene Porter. But it's been closed for, let's say, like 4 or 5 years now. Not a huge amount of time. Not enough time that someone would have bought the property, would have bulldozed it, would have done anything, but enough time that it's no longer like a place that people are curious about. It's kind of fallen into the back of the public conscious. But there are still people who worked there, who were let go very suddenly, who didn't know what happened. There are people who've heard stories. There are people who, like any abandoned building, just choose to settle there because they have nowhere else to go. And so there's still an energy attached to this building, even if its history and its, the public knowledge of it is kind of eroded. And I think if I can introduce one more character, this is a character that I kind of like have protagonist already. It doesn't have to be, but it feels like a good lens through which to view this story. And this will be the last thing I say before, maybe we have some discussions and decide how to move forward. There's a man named, and I want to say he's like basically our age. I don't know your age actually. I'm 23. He's in his
19. So
okay, so I'm a little older than you. But he's in his early to mid 20s, and his name is Aaron LeBeau. He is a local in the town. He remembers going to the mall in his youth, but he also remembers it being closed and not really knowing why. Aaron LeBeau is a fringe, freelance, aspiring journalist. And the reason he's both fringe and freelance is because his background is a little complicated, a little morbid. He's a bit of a conspiracy theory guy. He's not looking for puff pieces. He's not looking for political journalism. He's looking for hard-hitting, creepy, crazy revelations. And he's trying to do it on a local level. And in the town he lives in, there's no legend or no place that holds more potential than this abandoned mall, which I imagine being weirdly displaced from the town, like not in the epicenter, but like rather in an outskirts position. Not certain about that, but that was where I was picturing it. And so he's a journalist. His parents are no longer alive. We can get into the background of that at a later date if necessary, but they're no longer alive. He is a little bit unkempt. He has stubble. When he shaves, it's like not clean. It's very quickly done. So bags under his eyes, bedhead. He's not really caring about his appearance. He's just a hard-hitting, looking for the truth, and he wants that truth to be weird. And so in my head, our story starts with this person, Aaron LeBeau, seeking out not just the mall, but also anyone who might have a connection to the mall and what happened those 5 or however many years ago. So I'll pause there, and I'm curious what you think about that and how you'd like to proceed moving forward.
Okay, so especially if we're going for like that Lovecraft, like scary, spooky, otherworldly monster route, I feel like it is interesting to have a protagonist who is actively seeking that out. And then you can answer, like, you can ask the questions like, well, is what he's seeing actually this weird truth, or is it what he wants to see, what he's interpreting it as? And is he in too deep? What happened to his dead parents? Is there something there that's attached to the mall somehow? And I find it very interesting that your two characters that you have at the forefront of the story are Eugene Porter and Aaron LeBeau, who are both, I would assume, approximately the same age when like their story happens.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it that way. I think I had been imagining Eugene a little older than Aaron, but I do think it is interesting if they're from the same generation at the very least. Like maybe Eugene's like 5, or like Eugene's one of the earlier of whatever generation. We could call it Gen Z, we can call it whatever. But I said the 90s though, right? So probably more accurately Gen X or millennial. But Eugene would maybe be at the earlier stage of that. Aaron would maybe be kind of right at the end of that generation. But I do think that they're having an overlap there creates an interesting dynamic. That's a good notice.
Yeah, because I feel like it would be interesting if somehow like I forget if you say like Eugene is like, has he like gone missing or anything like that? Is there any like weird attachment to his story?
I didn't say, but I actually do have in my notes here that he is assumed to either be dead or simply missing. Like he is no longer a public figure in the town.
Okay.
He is remembered, but no one has seen him in a very long time.
Because it's just when you mentioned they were both like in their 20s, an idea sparked in my head, like if he's like if Aaron is say like 22-ish and Eugene was around the same age when he started the mall, and then he goes missing, right? And then the mall goes out of business. What if at some point in the story Aaron finds him and they are the same age, even though he should be, he should be older,
okay,
but within the mall, Eugene is the same age.
That's fat. I'm going to make my first note on my little document over here, which is, I'm going to phrase it like this: shouldn't be the same age, but are. Somehow.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, if we do end up using any of my recording, I have an extension that makes every letter I type sound like a typewriter. So there's that.
No, it's fine. It adds to the effect.
It's fun. Oh, dude, anytime I'm experiencing burnout, and like I just like writer's block, whatever, having the little typewriter sound, I'll put on like some like spooky like dark academia music, and I'll let it.
Yeah.
Truly sets the tone so well. Really helps. Okay, Eugene and Aaron should not be the same age, but somehow are.
Because I feel like, we could use that as either like that is the jumping off point of how he knows something is weird, or that could be like towards the end of the story he finds him within whatever like Lovecraftian nightmare, and he is the same age, and that's like it's somehow he's like manipulating his own time or time outside of the mall or something like that. Because you did mention.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, you did mention that it was like a small town, and suddenly, very suddenly, the mall had like gone out of business. And you also said it was in the 90s.
I'm being very general, and it again doesn't have to be. That's just kind of where I was starting from.
Sorry, I'm just the ideas are flowing right now because we're talking about like time, right? And like very weird, like sort of like monsters that could end the world. In 1999, people thought the world was going to end in Y2K. So that could be an interesting place, like that could contribute to like the headspace that Aaron is in. Like if it's like Y2K is about to happen, like days from now, and he goes into the mall.
Oh, so you're saying, okay, I think there are actually two different ideas here that I actually think are both interesting that I want to posit to you, because I think what you were talking about is the mall closed, in 1995, something like that, and then Aaron is going like December 20th, 1999. But I think there's also a really interesting idea of the mall was open in the late 90s and shut down basically at the turning of the millennium. And I think that either way, whichever path we go down, not only does Y2K represent like a huge cultural touchstone, like there's so many recorded moments that are easy to go off of there, but there is still like a cosmic element to what it looks like when an entire millennium has ended. So there might be overlap between human paranoia and actual, arcane horror, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, I think now I'm thinking it through. I feel like it is interesting if it closed right around Y2K.
Okay.
And then
so we want to go with that one.
Yeah. So like this is like early 2000s, pretty much around the time that you or I were born is when he's going to the mall.
Okay. Pre or post 9/11 is my question now for no reason.
Ooh.
But actually, it could be relevant. There were dramatic changes in basically all American lifestyle after that point. It might not really matter, but
no, because like that is like a very important thing directly after that. I guess I would say after, because if it were before, then it could
there's still American optimism, yeah. Okay, all right. So it's at least November 2001 ish.
Yes,
because I don't want it. I think doing it that close. I don't want it to be September 2001 because that's a little too close to the moment. But okay, cool. We've established a general time frame. I love that. What else are we thinking? What else are you thinking?
I don't know. I do like the idea, especially for horror media, if our protagonist has a specific phobia that you can play off of for a lot of the imagery around them, especially for something Lovecraftian, like if he has like was it trypophobia or trypophobia, whatever it is,
the holes,
and there's like he's afraid to look through like a keyhole because he's afraid of what's on the other side or something like that, like very small set pieces like that. I can see a lot of in a mall.
I think that's cool, and I think what could be valuable is to try to attach his phobia to whatever happened to his parents. Because I had an idea of what happened to his parents, but I'm not married to that idea at all. So if tryptophobia, I think, is really interesting, because how could holes and bad texture maybe relate to a previous trauma?
Yeah, like I'm curious. Can you just what was your initial idea?
Mine was very simple. It's basically protagonist writing 101. His parents died in a house fire, right? And I think a very easy, extension of that is afraid of fire, or maybe bright lights, or maybe, loud noises, something like that. But I'm not married to that idea, and I think if we wanted to explore something like tryptophobia, or even like agoraphobia, which is, if I recall correctly, large open spaces, or claustrophobia, like the inverse, like there's a lot that could be done there. So I'm curious, like with everything we've set up now, if your brain gravitates, if it is tryptophobia, why maybe, and if not, what else maybe?
Okay, well, an idea is that like, I'm trying to. There's a lot going on.
I know it gets overwhelming.
I guess it could have something to do with like there was like some sort of robbery that happened, and like he saw that happen like from like the back desk or something, and he's afraid of holes because that's the last image that he had of them,
of
like
his parents being filled with holes.
Yeah,
I don't hate that. I actually think that's pretty. That's pretty morbid, solid, honestly.
I feel like, especially if you're going Lovecraft route, you can bring that back.
Yeah,
and like they're like literal visions of them, and like,
Yeah. Oh, and it reminds me of there's a Junji Ito story where people get all full of holes, and I don't remember which one it is. I think it's in the Shiver anthology, but There's an image
Yeah,
that's
I
in my
own
head
that,
right
but I
now.
forget what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I know
my! I'm
exactly
looking
what
at
you're talking
my whole
about.
collection over there. I've got every book in there except the one I'm currently rereading, which is Tomie,
Nice,
which is also
nice.
the name of my car. I named it after this book.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
he's got tryptophobia. Is it? I think it is pronounced tryptophobia.
Trypophobia. Trypophobia. Trypophobia.
I think so.
Because his parents were shot during a home invasion, or was it out on the streets? Like, was he at home when it happened, or was and he was there for it though? That feels like a relevant part. Yeah. What do we think?
What if they ran a shop in this mall?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
think that makes a lot of sense.
And
Maybe like a
this is him
jewelry
coming back.
store or
Yes. Yeah.
just basically. Okay, no, I like that. Okay, so not only is Aaron going to the mall because he has a morbid curiosity about it, but now he has an actual personal connection to it. That's sick. I don't know if we need to come up with names for Aaron's parents, but if it becomes relevant down the line, we can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm writing a note too. Aaron's parents were killed. They were killed in the mall too. That's okay. So there's an interesting thing that we need to figure out there, which is when they were killed, did that happen in tandem with whatever caused the mall to close? Which again I have ideas for, but again we don't have to stick with them. Or did they get killed? Whatever happened in response to that happened, and then down the line the mall closed. Because I like the idea that they were killed in a more innocuous way. It didn't have to do with the conspiracy.
I think if he's in his mid-20s in like 2002-ish, then he like if this happened like when he was like younger, that would be before the mall closed.
Right.
I feel
right,
like
of course.
like just it's sort of like not really attached to the reason why it closed. And that's
just a one-off random human violent moment. I like that. Okay, just a robbery. Like the person who did it. Oh wait, okay. There's so many things. Did the person get caught, or is it unsolved?
Maybe it's unsolved, and that's why he goes.
It's so stuck.
Like goes down this road. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So someone robbed his parents' store in the mall, whichever store that was, killed them, both of them, and managed to escape the mall. And that was its own contained horrifying event in the mall's history. And then after that, and you know, maybe we can find a tie. Maybe there is no tie, but maybe there's a tie. And then down the line, mall shuts down, unknown reasons. I'm picturing Aaron was raised by like an aunt, something like very basic. I don't think that we have to go too in depth to like that whole process. We don't have to Dursley it, but yeah. Okay. So I feel like we've got a good picture of Aaron now. He is alienated by his interests, which are probably based on his past experience with the mall, which is also a very alienating factor because he's traumatized and it's probably affected his personality. He returns to the mall, which if it's what we said it was around 2002. He's in his mid-20s, and the mall closed right around Y2K. So the mall's been closed for like 2-ish years now. He returns to it. Do we think something incites him to return to it, or has it just been weighing on him for so long that he finally just breaks down and does it?
Maybe it's just a particularly bad nightmare. Because then that you can again like Lovecraft, like is it influencing his mind, or is it just like him reliving that sort of trauma?
I do. That's one of my favorite elements of the Lovecraft, to break away from like the actual narrative we're writing and actually just talk about the genre in itself. Part of what makes Lovecraftian horror so good for me is the consistent idea of like, am I just going crazy? Like, do I just have something wrong with my brain right now? And how, I mean, at the end of a lot of Lovecraftian horror, they don't even answer that question. They're like, yeah, maybe he was a little crazy. Favorite book of all time is a book called House of Leaves. That's my favorite book of all time. Have you ever read it?
I've not, but I know generally the story. So
I won't
yeah.
spoil it, and this isn't even really a spoiler because it's more of just like
Mm-hmm.
characterization of one of our unreliable narrators. But what I love about House of Leaves is that we basically watch one of our narrators go crazy in real time, or rather, we read them going crazy in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And then right at the end, we're given new information about their family history and the reality they exist within that maybe implies that none of what was happening was real and it was just a person who was actually dealing with mental health issues. And yet the narrative that we've just consumed also calls into question the idea that such a that there could be such a simple answer to such a complicated question. And God, House of Leaves is so good. I will write a video about it at some point, but that video will take that's going to be a huge process. So anyway, I love that. I love where we're at right now. Can we break away from Aaron? I kind of want to talk about some other people in the town.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Do you have anyone?
I mean, honestly, I just had a general idea of it being possibly a like with the way that the protagonist is like built up, it could be like a Silent Hill type thing where there are just these people that are in this abandoned mall that happen to be alongside him that like he's not sure why.
Okay, so that's interesting because when I was doing some of my prep here, I was feeling this compulsion to write classic mall type characters, and then as I was doing that, I was like, wait, no, it's abandoned. They wouldn't be here. But then, if for whatever reason he gets into the mall and there's just a mall goth around, a skater, a security guard, like it's interesting to have people somehow still keeping up the archetypal architecture of the mall even after its closure. So I actually really like that idea. And I again, Silent Hill is a great reference because I know exactly what kind of energy you're talking about there too. Did you have like someone specific in mind? Because I've got some if you want me to take the reins.
Go for it.
Okay. So one of my favorite mall archetypes, and I was a high schooler who hung out at the mall a lot. It's just kind of one of the things I had to do. I love a mall goth, you know? I feel like they're everywhere. They're in every mall you ever go to, especially if that mall has a hot topic. So I have a character named, I've got a bunch of details about her. Skylar Brenwood is the name I came up with. And so I have everything that I have here is past tense, like she's a former employee. But if we want to go down the route that you were talking about, maybe this is still what her personality looks like. She works at the Hot Topic, or whatever narratively copyright friendly Hot Topic equivalent we decide on. She's a nicotine addict. That can either be vaping or cigarettes. I just like the idea of her having that oral kind of fixation because I think that paints I think as unhealthy as it is in real life, being a smoker just is such like a great character trait in fiction. It just works so well. Like Spike from Cowboy Bebop, if you've ever watched Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
He makes
Absolutely.
smoking look so hot. It's crazy. Okay. Her personality is very typically goth, and I mean that in the non-archetypal way, but like what it actually is like to associate with goths, which is that she's actually like a friendly enough person. It's just her appearance and her like interests that are, dark and creepy. She often claims that she doesn't scare easily, but when in intense situations, she actually does kind of crumble a little bit under that pressure. And then the last thing I had is that she isn't mean, but she has a hard time opening up to people, and that makes her feel kind of cold. And so
she's not mean, but pushes them away.
Okay. Yeah. She's just very resistant to actual human connection in my head. So that's all I wrote there. And I didn't have an idea that she would thread into the narrative, but I just was like, as a part of it, I like that idea. She was actually the very first thing I wrote on my note doc because I love mall goths. They're at every mall. And there are variations too. Like, I'm imagining her very classically goth, but there's also like pastel goth, and there's like cyber goth, whatever it's called. Like, there's all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. There's plenty to be done with that. And if we just want to establish her and then move on and come back to her later, that's also an option.
Well, maybe we could go with a theme of like giving each of these characters some sort of like phobia.
Okay. Again, very Silent Hill, but I'm into it.
Yeah. it is a very Silent Hill now that I'm thinking about all the stuff.
I mean, look, Silent Hill didn't invent the idea of a physical manifestation of psychological horror, but it sure perfected it. So it's easy to reference.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think? What do we think might her phobia be?
Because if her main character traits are that she's friendly but she pushes people away and she's like a smoker, it could be that like I forget what the actual term for it is, but like fear of like fire and like
I have to imagine it's something pyrophobia. But yeah, let's
pyrophobia, yes.
Yeah, fear of fire. It is literally pyrophobia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Okay. So that's interesting. She's a smoker. Okay. Ooh. Okay. So there's something there. She has a fear of fire, but she's a smoker. And I think, oh God, there's another interesting route there of maybe she only uses vape products because she doesn't want to light an actual lighter. But on the other hand, I actually like it more if she basically microdoses her own phobia every time she lights up a cigarette.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of where you were at. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
It's like a control thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and maybe an overlying theme with both Erin and what I call her, Skylar now,
Skylar.
is a confrontation of one's own phobia, but not in the most direct, like clinical sense, like not in a way a therapist would recommend, but in a kind of backwards, maybe maladaptive kind of way. Which I think is interesting there. So why is she afraid of fire is the question.
Well, it could be like it could be like a Silent Hill type thing where like she's actually like all these people are like being like have like died.
Yeah.
Right, in a way.
Yeah.
But they're still being like they're still alive within the mall. And it could be that there's it's something simple like her parents also like at this mall like died in a fire or something. Like it could be like all these small different occurrences that are like it has something to do with like a person of their past dying in this mall and they're brought here.
Okay, so that's interesting. So maybe we establish as an overarching theme that everyone, and I feel like I want to distance Eugene from this because I feel like Eugene needs to be his own story element in itself. He feels already in the way that we've characterized him, like just too relevant to the major mystery.
Yeah.
But every other character who we encounter here, be it coming in, like I have a and we can figure this out later, but I have like a police officer character who witnesses Erin breaking into the mall and follows after Erin and then becomes a part of things. And so maybe that's an outlier, or maybe like it's destiny and they also have a connection. But either way, every non-Eugene character does have a fatal connection to this mall. We need to come up with a name for the mall. I think. Yeah. That's where I'm at right now.
I mean, yeah, my first instinct, I love naming things after like Greek mythology, you know. So I'm trying to think of like.
So there's the myth of fire is Prometheus, and he's the one who brought fire to humanity, and I think that there's a tie there potentially. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of and Prometheus is not an antagonist, but now I'm just trying to think of like antagonistic Greek characters. Like Kronos is a very almost all my exposure Kronos is Percy Jackson related, just to clarify. But that's how I know about Greek mythology. There's Kronos, there's Hades, there's all of these, like minor, demigod and monstrous villains. Like, I think the Minotaur can represent a lot of interesting stuff, especially in a Lovecraftian, as the beast in the center of a great mystery, a great confusion. In the same breath, we could also say Hephaestus. Oh, there's plenty of stuff to pull from. I'm just thinking. Where are you at? Where's your head at?
Because like I feel like if I feel like it's too on the nose to name it like oh, Hades Mall or
Yeah.
Kronos Mall or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
But these are also Greek and Latin roots, so it's not hard to just take a part of it and attach it to a more modern sounding name. But if you want to like, if we want to do some deep research on Greek mythology here, we can take a little. Because now I'm thinking there's a Spider Woman character that I'm thinking of that I can't remember the name of. I kind of want to do that. I don't know why my head's going to spiders, but yeah.
Because they're all. That's
Arachne. Yeah,
all these
sense.
characters are together in the web of this mall. That is like the mall is like the web that brings them together. Yes.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Now again, if we named it Arachne Mall, that's very clearly Spider Mall. But I think there's something there. I think maybe a starting point to get back from the mythology is, first of all, are we in America?
I would assume so. Yeah.
I feel uncomfortable writing in other nations for the most part because I don't understand their culture. So we're in America. What region though? I think it's very easy to go Pacific Northwest, and I don't hate it, but there's options.
I feel like, I feel like it's like Pacific Northwest, like that sort of like that general area is
cool. Yeah. We'll keep it vague. Yeah. So just there's trees around. There's mountains around. There's, the small town is probably surrounded by nature. I think that's a good way to characterize just kind of the energy that we should be going into with all of our aesthetic choices going forward. Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay. Any thoughts name wise?
I'm gonna be completely honest. Like my mind is on mythology, and like right now I'm thinking of Greek mythology because it's interesting to me, and I'm also thinking of like Native American mythology because it's interesting to me, and I'm currently in a class about that sort of stuff.
Cool.
But then having it also be like Lovecraftian if it's named after like a Native American thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's kind of.
I can see that issue. Yeah.
It's like the issue of like a Wendigo, Like,
yeah, right.
Like, yeah.
It's the thing I always think of. Anytime I see someone commenting on, Wendigo, for instance, and being like, "Oh, this is maybe a weird name for him to choose," I go, "Valid point, valid point for sure."
Yeah.
I mean, I think an easy other direction to go is like classic Lovecraftian naming conventions, which is just use a fuck ton of apostrophes and Y's and R's. Nyarlathotep Mall, something like that, something stupid. Like truly, we could just find a name that does not roll off the tongue, and stick with it. But Arca.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Because Kappa's Greek, right? Kappa sounds Greek.
Yeah.
And then
because
Arca kind of still evokes a little bit of the Arachne kind of thing that we were talking about. Polynesian. Oh yeah, Kappa was with two P's.
Like in mythology, like a kappa is.
Well, that's Japanese though. Now that if it's with the two
that's
P's.
also that's another type of. Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think.
Okay. What if the region is simply named Arca Kappa? Or however we decide to pronounce what you just wrote right there. The region is called that, and therefore the mall is called Arca Kappa Mall, right? That's simple. Something like that. Because then because it would be weird for the town to be named like, Brookhaven or whatever. Like, I feel like that's a real name. I don't know where it's from. But like, or to be named like Forestville, whatever. And then to have a crazy, it's easier for it to just, the town itself already has a spooky name. And then we just name them all that. I think that works. So we're going to call it Arca Kappa? Arca? How do you pronounce that in your head?
I don't know. Arca Kappa or Arcakapa.
Arcacapa or Arcacapa?
Yeah.
Arcacapa, Arcacapa. I like Arcacapa. I actually like the first one better. Wait, hold on. This is not a real word, so my brain's still wrapping its head around it. Arcacapa. Arcacapa. Arcacapa Mall. Arcacapa.
Yeah.
We might come back to this, and we might decide on something better later. But for the time being, let's go with Arcacapa.
Yeah. Yeah. Arcacapa. That's the mall.
Cool.
That's
all
the
right.
mall name.
Cool. All right. So we've got the foundations. I would say. I think we're in a good starting spot.
Yeah.
When you pitched this idea to me, it sounded like maybe you had a general idea for it. Is that me? Is that accurate? Do you have some thought in mind?
I mean, the most I came up with was really like the idea of like almost like a backrooms type thing of like abandoned mall, and then they keep finding these weird like passageways or exits that like seem even older than the mall itself, or are like made of some weird material, and then that brings them like unwittingly to like a sort of like parallel realm that still looks like the mall, but things are like wrong in it.
Sure. Yeah. I totally I think that the dynamics of however the mall needs to operate to be spooky, I am totally down with that. If you think that that it's just easy, like you go from it being a real mall to it being its own alternate thing that just looks like a mall. I think that makes perfect sense for the kind of story we're trying to tell. One of the concepts I wrote down here that I think can maybe vibe with that idea is that from the outside of the mall, everything looks run down and abandoned, but once you've actually entered, and you can't enter through the front doors. I don't know. I thought that was a fun trope that you had to find a secondary way in. The interior is a lot much more finished, like very the Rolling Giant. I think is a very comparable kind of thing.
Yes, that's I thank you for mentioning that. That a lot of my ideas came from there subconsciously.
Sure. I mean, it's a very iconic piece of kind of liminal. Weird horror fiction on the internet.
So liminal horror.
Yeah. Can I actually throw another one at you that I actually really loved and I just really wanted to be a part of it?
Yeah.
I have a ton of these, and we can start talking about the actual horror of it in a second here. But there's just one that I really liked, and it's very simple. Where did I put it? Did I put it? I might have put. Oh yeah, in this mall. Which, from the like I said, from the outside looks very disheveled and like a broken down, ruined, abandoned place, but from the inside looks like basically what a mall would look like just during its closing hours, its closed hours. Actually, I'm gonna throw a couple things at you. We can scrap some if we don't like some of the ideas, but I'm looking at them. There's a couple that I just really like aesthetically that don't give anything away, but just set the tone a little bit. Okay. One, you can constantly hear that, and this is, I think this is like base level. Like this is just when you enter the mall. It's not before you've really like descended into any kind of deeper horror, but you can constantly hear the sound of echoey footsteps a distance away from you, but you can never catch up with them, and they always stop when you stop moving, so you can only kind of hear them. So when you're walking, you can kind of hear another person walking somewhere else in the mall, but it always stops when you stop, and you can never actually locate the source. Just kind of set dressing. The mall occasionally makes, like over the PA systems that clearly should not be operational at this point, occasionally makes announcements in an artificial sounding voice, the source of which cannot be located, and they give vague, like optimistic sounding, but obviously kind of creepy and dark warnings about what's going on. Just like, attention shoppers. The Build-A-Bear location is now closed due to the fact that it has been overrun, and it doesn't elaborate. Like I would maybe find a better framing for it or a better phrasing for it, but just you're being told something, but you're not being told explicitly what it is. You're just kind of being told to be scared.
Like due to the overgrowth,
right?
Or something that.
all employees in this section, you are now allowed 15 minutes to walk about the mall. And you're like, what does that mean? Are people going to be okay? And then this was my favorite. This was the one I actually wanted to talk about. There are a ton of signs around that vaguely reference like a collective entity just called the shoppers. So instead of being like, attention shoppers, it's saying, attention, these shoppers should go to this location, or these shoppers can find, like, I think I need to find a better way to frame it, but basically it's like, these shoppers are not they're not you. They're not, it's not talking to you. It's talking about something else called the shoppers. And they're in the mall, and maybe they have to do with the footsteps, or maybe they don't. I don't have an explanation for this. I just like the idea of casually at large a reference of this group called the shoppers. And it's saying, attention, I wouldn't say attention on a sign. It would say, oh wait, can I say one more that I wrote that I actually really liked?
Sure.
I'm sorry. I know. I got so carried away with
go ahead.
mall shit.
Go ahead.
I have a bunch of these. Wait, these are fun. Okay. So you know how when you go into a mall, you can find these little standing maps that say you are here, and then they list all the stores and stuff. So you can find a bunch of standing maps in the mall regularly. Every time you find a standing map, the shape of the mall, the what is the word I'm looking for?
Outline.
The map
Schematics?
of it. Yeah, the map, it's different, right? It's always different every time you look at it. And instead of it saying you are here and pointing to right where the map is, it always is actually weirdly referencing a part like just down the hall, and it says it is here. So so every map, it doesn't show you where you are. Or I guess it maybe vaguely does, but it shows you where something else is, whatever that might be. And I'll stop pitching random stuff now. These were just little things I had to make them all spooky and fun. And
I think I like every one of those ideas, and that I feel like all of those can go together.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
For a very like weird, like, is this like purgatory? Is this like a sort of like a punishment for something? Is this just a regular mall with weird signs?
We're gonna get to the end of this podcast and realize we've just written the next entry into Silent Hill. It's just gonna be, this is Silent Hill if Silent Hill was a mall. But I'm into it.
What's the last Silent Hill? Silent Hill
F is the most recent release, and that one is like 1960s Japan.
This is Silent Hill G.
Silent Hill G is Silent Hill Townfall, and it does take place in another non-Silent Hill town, which is pretty cool. It's like Saint something or other, I think.
Yeah, I've not kept up with the newest Silent Hill stuff. I know the first two, a little bit about 3 and 4.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Unfortunately, like, a lot of the best Silent Hill content came out before my time, and it's kind of hard to get your hands on it at this point, and I'm not good at emulating. So I've basically only played the Silent Hill 2 remake and Silent Hill F and watched videos about the other stuff, but still iconic. There's movies too, and they are fine. They're fine. All right, so where did we leave off? What were we talking about?
We were talking about like all the weird stuff.
Yes.
The shoppers, like that, those sort of things that you posited.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it could be fun to drill into those and try to find the details of them. But I think before we do that, I'm curious if you have any stuff you want to just throw at the wall. Spaghetti.
Okay, well, this is like kind of like a. It might be dumb. Okay.
Let's not say that. We can make anything dumb not dumb.
What if when Y2K happened, the world did end, and the outer world that everybody's been living in has been like this sort of simulation by this god, and the only place that is like a real place that is like where people have like actual lives is within the mall, as like their souls, like they're like captured.
So this is a
point
much
in time
larger explanation for like
Yeah.
basically everything.
Yeah.
At least. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to confirm or I'm not going to like, let's not lock that down quite yet, just because I think that it's worth like discussing around that. But I think one thing that I do immediately think from that is that it recontextualizes, and maybe even in a narrative sense, Eugene, as we've been talking about him, and maybe as he would be introduced through in the story, kind of feels like he's being set up to be a bad guy, right? Because the mall shut down. Yeah. He was the one responsible for it during that time. And so within the framework of life being more or less normal, he sounds like the bad guy. But what this idea that maybe the mall is the last bastion of actual real human experience is that maybe Eugene is a kind of twisted hero in that he created a terrifying and dangerous last hope for humanity. And so it's kind of based on the way that we tell our story and that we utilize our characters. He could kind of represent like the huge ethical and moral dilemma of dooming someone in one way but saving them in another way, or dooming a I don't even know if it has to be that well defined, but I think that, to me, the most interesting element of the idea that this mall is the last real human experience is the question of, is it worth it? Right? That's what I always think of, like in The Matrix.
Yes.
When people talk about the Matrix movies, how you have to escape the Matrix, I go, yes. I guess to someone who really values the general concept of objective reality, sure. But do we think living out there with the brain-eating robots in the dark pollution nightmare landscape is better than the fake? Like, I think there's a lot to work with there. That's interesting. So let's write that down. I think let's go forward with the idea that is the case. And if we decide that there's something better, or we decide that we can adapt that into something that fits the framework a little bit better down the line, we'll go back to it.
Okay.
But this mall is... How do I want to write this? The mall is the only real human space left. But, okay, and maybe that's the case. Why is there all the other spooky shit in it then? Is that a symptom of it being this last human space, or is that this apocalypse essentially kind of encroaching on this human safety net?
That's how I view it. Is that like to the protagonist Aaron, he thinks that there's something like terrible within the mall that is like going out to the outside world, but it's the opposite. The outside world is slowly encroaching on it and like trying to like merge the two different parallel realities. Hence that's why you get an extra set of footsteps, you know, like that is you and your mirror self.
I was about to I love that. I was about to say that if we're doing this thing about two different perceptions of reality, then I think that there's a very fun, and we'd have to there's a lot of work that would have to go into this, but like the idea that not only does your perception get like you gain a greater perspective on what's actually happening, you're fractured. Like the person that you were outside of the mall remains independent from you, almost kind of in a spiritual, artistic, anachronistic kind of sense. I love that, actually. I really like that. And we have to find the rules of that. That's what makes good sci-fi, good horror. We have to there needs to be restrictions and not science behind it, but like a rule set that makes it feel real. But I do love that. Okay. So the one mystery solved. The footsteps are you. I'm just gonna write very simply. The footsteps are you in my doc. That's
the footsteps are you.
That's really cool. Now I want to run a D&D campaign in this setting, or maybe a one shot or something. Oh, that's sick.
I mean, I would be totally fine with that. Like
All right.
helping DM something like that. That might be a fun thing.
It could be fun. It could be fun. Let's iron some more stuff out, but I'm not opposed to the concept. So it feels like we're moving down the path of let's canonize something happened to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
The mall is real life. Maybe we should put a lens on that for a second.
Yeah.
Is it that when you're outside of the mall, you are in reality, but you are being blinded to what's actually happening in a sort of like, what's that movie? The guy gets the glasses and then like all the billboards. It's like a capitalist kind of horror movie. What am I talking about? They Live? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I forget.
Not that.
Maybe.
I think anyone who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about.
Like, yeah, I feel like if anything, I've seen it through YouTube Shorts or something.
Yeah, just the reality behind the reality. So like, they're living in a real physical space that they're just not seeing something, or is it like kind of literally a matrix? Like they're not actually in the world. I guess just like, how do you look at it? How do we look at this difference?
I kind of viewed it as it is more of like a Matrix type thing, but as you get closer to that bridge, like you're like I guess you're real, not your double. You are the double, but your real starts forming on the other side before you both meet.
Oh,
like
yeah.
After the bridge.
Okay. So maybe, to narrow down on that thought, maybe the... Okay. I'm doing some reaching here. We can scrap so much of this, but this is thinking out loud right here. Okay. The person that anyone is, the person that I keep saying you because when I write this kind of stuff, I'm like planning for D&D, but like whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. The person that someone is outside of the mall, essentially, in anywhere on Earth in this reality, is a vessel meant to be fed on by something, by whatever. It is you are an ingredient in a stew that you have no way of conceptualizing. That's fine. And the way that is accomplished is by separating your actual real your humanity from your mode of operation. So you believe that you're making choices. You believe that you are, existing in a human landscape, but in reality you are a slave to something that truly would be impossible to understand. But if through whatever insane, bizarre circumstance, and maybe it does have to do with trauma or phobia or fear, very Magnus Archives coded, had to fit it in there. If you somehow get funneled into this one direct space, it's not like you just gain awareness. It's like the part of you that is actually human is fragmented away from this vessel. And now, to extend on that, and again, I'm still in brainstorm mode, but this just feels like a conclusion to me. The vessel gets mad that the actual meat, the humanity's not in. I almost think of it like a shell and a person. And when someone eats seafood, is weirdly where I'm at. It's not about the shell. It's about what's inside the shell. So the humanity is the meat, and the shell is the vessel to get you to wherever you need to be through whatever circumstance. Maybe you're basically in the crock pot. You're cooking, you're boiling, you're whatever. You're being prepared when you're in this reality. And then when you step into the mall, the meat, the part that they actually care about, is left there, and the shell's just like, wait, no, I need that because that's the part of me that the god or whatever this is, wants to eat.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I feel like I really went on a whole thing there.
Like I get it. It is hard to explain.
This is
I
cosmic
get
horror. This is what it looks like. We'll find a more artistic way to frame it later, but that's kind of it was silly. Earlier when you were like, oh, this is gonna sound dumb, and then you brought up Y2K, I was like, I get why you look at that and you go, oh, but like so much of horror is taking something that kind of dumb and making it not dumb by framing it in a scary way. How do we feel about that whole thing I outlined? Do we have any notes? Should we change anything, or do we want to run with it for now?
I do like that. Like everything that you said. The only thing that like that the pre-established stuff of like who like these random people are that are also in the mall, or how Eugene is the same age and stuff like that. That could be like another layer on top of it of like these are the shoppers who kept their consciousness in the mall.
So maybe
Like that
so
could be
when
what
we hear
it
about
is.
the shoppers initially, we believe them to be
Mhm.
an external group, but it is revealed that the shoppers are us, or I keep saying us, the characters.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, basically.
Interesting. Okay. I think there's a lot to work with there. I think we need to we
Mhm.
need to actually start hitting actual narrative beats here to kind of explain some stuff there, but I'm
Yeah.
liking where we're ending up here. Do you like the idea of a cop randomly following Aaron in and just being sucked into the narrative? Because I think that's fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do like that.
I think we could
Like
kill that character at any point if we wanted to. I think there needs, it's good to have
yeah.
a character you can kill. Um,
Mhm.
did you have any characters in mind? I feel like I've been pitching most of the people.
I don't know. I don't really have many ideas for characters. Like I guess the most like characters ideas that I've had have been to do with like how the god entity, how it plays into everything. You know, that's I love my creatures and
So maybe we leave some of the more, because I'll say I'm really great at setting up a circumstance, but sometimes the
Mhm.
execution of the actual horror is lost on me. So maybe we leave you
Yeah.
the opportunity to put together what's actually, you know, the leakage, the horror, the scariness.
Mhm.
What comes, like, what is, when you get into them all in your head, what is the main antagonistic force? What do we actually fear there?
Well, if again, this is if we keep Aaron as the protagonist, which I feel like that it very much works. I feel like it with the idea of tryptophobia. The main thing that he keeps seeing is like if it I'm imagining it as like it's if it's like somehow like foggy at all in this, like again Silent Hill, if there's some
Maybe the
sort of
hallways
thing
just go on too
obscuring.
long. You're just your vision just
Yes,
fades.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, he sees what could be eyes or holes, and he has this urge that he's like he's being watched, and that there's this that's what he thinks the shoppers are, when really what he's seeing is a reflection of like his past, of like what the stuff that happened. And it most of the horror I feel like should be actually like in his head, as far as like imagery, um and then as far as like the stuff like with the mall itself, like just being slightly off, that is like a byproduct of like all the gods and stuff like that.
Sure.
um
I guess one
and
question I have is, and we really haven't established this factor, and we can maybe I like the idea of coming back to this later for
mm,
whatever reason. I think it's easier that way. But
yeah.
whatever the force is that is responsible for the most horrifying aspects of this narrative or this
Mhm.
experience, is it? I think the two, because you rarely have a benevolent kind of cosmic horror, and so I guess sometimes you can,
Yeah.
and there's really interesting ways to
Mhm.
do that. I don't get the impression that's the way we're moving. Is the force actively trying to horrify, hurt, intimidate, whatever, or is it blind to the human element, and it's just kind of a byproduct of what it is that is scary? Like, is it bad,
Mm.
or is it just there?
I think it's just there, and the way that it connects the, like you said, the shell to the meat is by humanity, which is like I guess a very broad topic of like what makes a human a human. It is like emotions, our fear, our mortality, right?
Gotcha.
So like by bringing somebody that close, like by tormenting them and bringing them close to death, as they get deeper and deeper, it strengthens their bond to the like as as the shell to the meat.
Yes,
Sure.
of like the mirror
Yeah.
dimension.
Okay. So to take another step back, whatever this force is, if we even want to make it a singular force, it could be any number of things, but whatever's responsible for this Y2K apocalypse, basically,
Yeah.
it is not getting down and dirty and trying to scare its people, but it rather is saying, okay, I need this meat, I need these people for whatever reason. I kind of defaulted to feeding. Maybe it's not feeding. Maybe it's something
Yeah.
else. But I need these people, and therefore, when this separation happens, I give whatever necessary subjective power to the shell so that it can accomplish that reconnection. And therefore, each individual person can have this moment where, like, Aaron sees his dead parents, or, you know, Skylar sees her store on fire and thinks she's dying. Not because this is trying to terrify her, but because just this little separation is so violent within the framework of this new reality that it needs to utilize any kind of emotional foothold it can to come back together. And sometimes that means basically bullying a person into submission.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what's making the most sense to me, and I like that. So, okay, that's cool. Okay, so we're in a real spot now. I do think we can start hitting narrative.
Yeah.
Okay.
After an hour and a half, we can start
I
getting
know.
narrative.
I know. Well, so it's so interesting. Like, and I keep coming back to this. When I plan for D&D, basically my whole job is setting up situations, and I have, you know,
Yeah.
guesses at what the conclusions are going to be and how I want the story to proceed from that. But for the most part, I'm just like, yeah, if this were me planning a D&D session, we would be basically done. And then I would say, go. Maybe I'd write a couple more things, add a couple of NPCs. So now it's fun to be like, all right, so do we start in the mall or do we start outside of the mall?
Well, I know originally we said this would be like a short story. I'm imagining this now as like a novel or novella. I imagine like chapter 1, if not more, like the first couple chapters are just building up this legend of the mall.
Yeah.
And like about like all of Aaron's dreams, and like how like it feels like the mall is calling to him, like it wants him to go back there. And
there's
then-
something so fascinating there, because why? Because the parental tie, sure, but is it Eugene? Is Eugene calling to him? I guess part of what makes this narrative work so well at the beginning, and why I totally agree with you that I actually think we should start outside of the mall, is because not only do we set up the mall as an antagonistic force, which actually really helps with the subversion that's going to come later, but it also gives us the opportunity to contextualize our reality or lack thereof. And I guess one minor question I have is, before we get even to the dreams and what that looks like, is, are there cracks in this reality? Like, would an observant person maybe be able to notice that something was wrong, or is it like solid?
maybe we're viewing this from the idea of like there is an entity that is attached to this. Maybe it's like a collective of entities, and that is how these cracks formed, is that like one of the minor gods, I guess, like a lesser god, sort of like did this deal with Eugene to make the mall like this sanctuary. And like maybe in other places of the world, this is how like the supernatural happens, is that there are these even lesser gods that have like spoken to humans and like told them like, you are not real.
Sure.
And
So there are extraplanar, there are celestial entities. Again, we were talking about the Greek pantheon earlier. It feels very similar to that.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
like I kind of like this. It's not like there's a collective majority. Maybe the beings, whatever they are, the most powerful ones have agreed among themselves that we're going to take this reality, we're going to feed on it, or we're going to shape it into something different, or we're going to utilize it for our own means. But there's still lesser, trickling down entities and creatures that say, and maybe the situation's so predatory that it's actually in their best interests to keep this, like maybe like, oh, if they destroy my reality and I'm like, a patron god, and I'm getting very Greek here, but like I'm a patron god of like agriculture. Agriculture is going to be annihilated when when humanity is actually wiped out in whatever way it does. So therefore I actually kind of need to keep it around, but I can't go so hardcore that the gods know that these guys know what I'm doing and eliminate me. So I have to just find little subtle things to clue these people into something being wrong. I like that.
Yeah.
So we think a collective is responsible for whatever's happening on Earth.
Yes, I believe so. And it could be like it could be like more like spiritual, like they are some sort of god or entity that we just don't know of, or it could be that they are like an alien race,
right?
And like this is like how they conquer the Earth. It's not actually like fully a dimension, it is just Earth. And like there's like that, like they targeted Earth for some reason,
right? And to that point, instead of it being like, oh, I'm a patron god and therefore I need to help people, it would just be like, maybe I'm a more empathetic alien, I guess.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think both of those could work. And I think, we lean into the more cosmic sense of aliens, not just like little green men, but like people who have a more like innate scientifically horrifying grip on reality. They can actually change the nature of reality. So almost gods in themselves, but that's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay, cool. Let's stick just vaguely with collective for now, and we'll focus in on it later when it becomes relevant, but I think that helps a lot. So we start chapter 1, an introduction to Aaron, for one thing, an introduction to the town, which again, I guess the town we've decided is called Arkakapa, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it could be that is like, it's named this because of whatever, like,
thing that like sort of like implanted itself in here, and that's how Eugene like
that's how he contacts it.
Can I contextualize that word you just used, implanted? What if we meant that literally? Like a seed in the earth, an alien root. And that's dude, every cosmic horror I think has a great moment of descending into a depth. I originally had this weird idea of like an amalgamation living in the basement of the mall, but now that we've gotten kind of down this path, I actually like it a lot better of just like it's not like so layered as like you get down to this floor and it's immediately scarier. I think it's just there's a bunch of fucking shit going on. But at the deepest point in the mall, down like a crazy, again, Silent Hill, terrifying staircase, there is actually a physical thing that has taken root here. I really like that idea. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if it like, if it's like it has taken root and like in the real world, and it is like this sort of like this like dome almost sort of thing, like keeping like that little aspect, and then it opens up and there's like then there's like all the eyes looking down. It it helps with that sort of tryptophobia like idea of like that's could be like it is like peering into its own like womb, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like,
no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here's a question. I think this is interesting. We're not shying away from narrative, but I think we're finding details that help that help things. But are the horrors that are descending, because we were starting to talk about the eyes maybe actually being this entity itself, kind of self, like looking at itself. Is the horror, again, I think I asked this question, is it a byproduct of the safety net, or is it the leakage of the exterior? And maybe it could be a blending of that. Maybe when he sees the eyes, he assumes that's the same scariness as whatever else we decide on. But, or maybe they're two independent things. I don't know.
I do like the idea of having it be two independent things. at least in some way, because then that helps like weave into the narrative subtly if there's these two like almost like conflicting like levels of horror, that is like the outer gods like sort of conflicting with the main one that we are technically like going into out of ish into the other world, like because of it, like into the real world. So like it's almost as if like it's like one of the good gods
Right.
is being attacked by the bad gods.
Yeah.
But
And I like the air
more-
quotes you're doing, because
yeah.
I don't think there is
Yeah.
a good God here. I think there's a
Yeah.
God who is easiest to align yourself with as a human and everyone else. But
Mhm.
here's something that I think is really important if we're going to do conflicting horrors. I think one thing that I love is not making it clear initially that there are two horrors, just kind of grouping everything into the same thing, and then once you're able to parse it down the line, that's really cool. But there needs to be a rule set so that when that revelation comes, you can look back and go, oh, and here's what I'm thinking, very basically, and I think we can dive into this, is that whenever the, let's use air quotes, good God interacts with a character, most likely Aaron, but basically anyone, the two rules are every interaction has to reveal something. Like it has to, like, I think about the game Prey. Basically every single text log you read in the game Prey helps guide you towards a hidden location, a secret room, a treasure somewhere, whatever. There's no information that is invaluable in that, or that is not, I think invaluable actually means exceptionally valuable. That is not valuable in that game. And so I think one rule is that every encounter with the good entity should bring some sort of context to the situation you're in. And also, you can totally be scared by it, but you can't be hurt by it because it is not trying to hurt you. It is just trying to communicate with you. Meanwhile, the other gods, they are trying to hurt you. There is always an intention, or they accomplish doing damage when it is the other guy. And I think doing that just tiny little separation, it's all gonna, because you're gonna walk down a hallway and you're gonna see a bunch of eyes, and then you're gonna get attacked by a creature, and you're kind of gonna just loop those two things together. But if you walk down the hallway and get looked at by eyes, that's one thing, and then getting hurt, that's the other thing. And I think once the revelation comes near the end of the narrative, there's really interesting. I love being able to go back and be like, oh, there was a difference.
Yeah.
I just think that's cool.
Yeah, and maybe it could be that like if they do keep, if they're both a form of like tryptophobia, if we want to keep with that theme, it could be that like things looking at you and like the eyes are like helpful.
Yeah.
But then it's like this fleshy growth almost. That's like again like the Junji Ito.
Yeah.
But like it's like if he gets like or touched or attacked by the other creature, then there's like boils form on his arm or something.
So
And,
there's
like-
a through line of eyes on the wall, scary but fine. Holes in me, scary but not fine. Totally. I totally can see that. Can I pitch something to you? Okay, and I just replayed Mouthwashing. Have you ever played Mouthwashing? Or you know anything about it?
I have not played it, but I know like the whole story.
Yeah. One of the most iconic pieces of imagery in Mouthwashing is obviously the eye, staring at you. And it's accusatory. That is what it represents. It is basically Curly looking at Jimmy and saying, I know what you did, I know what you are, and I see you. And that's bad. What if, in Aaron's memory of his parents' robbery and murder, there is the extra element of not only did he watch his parents get all full of holes, it's kind of silly to say, but like obviously that would be a traumatic experience, but also either I think there's actually maybe different ways to do this. He looked into the eyes of the person who did it, and he had a very specific singular moment where he really had that, or one of his parents fell into the space he was hiding, because I have to imagine he was hiding, and dead, kind of was making direct eye contact with him. I just think the imagery there really works.
I do like I was originally thinking like the first thing you said, but when you mentioned the second one, that is like a more haunting imagery. That would be more like he is scared of like the image, but the image does not hurt him, does not want to hurt him, because it is attached to that, like the visage of his parents.
Well, and weirdly, I mean, you could, and I totally agree, and you could even extend that point to the idea of like this, again, quote unquote, good entity is like, I am emulating the last image you had of the people that you loved, and so in my weird alien headspace, whatever, I think I'm helping, but actually I'm just conjuring a traumatic imagery, but a traumatic imagery of your mom or your dad or whoever.
But keep in mind, this is also one of the last things that he saw within it, like its domain of the mall.
That's
because
true.
He hasn't been back since that day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that I don't think we even really touched on that. It was that obviously he would have left after his parents were murdered, and then the mall would have shut down. So, and obviously he's going back to for closure. Yeah. No, I think that that really flows together very well. I think I love that. I love that. So we want it to be. So. It's not emulating the robber. It's emulating. Do we want to say his mom? I think we've been saying mom.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's call it. Let's say his mom. So. Maybe okay. I'm gonna sequence of events this out. It's gonna be real quick. He's there with his parents. Someone comes in, starts to freak out. His parents, I'm gonna say his mom, hides him under a table or something. Someone comes in, immediately kills his dad. Just like in a second, shoots him. Happens. There's a bunch of chaos that happens. Stuff is getting smashed. I imagine there just being one person, but maybe there's more than one. I don't really think it matters.
Maybe.
We can narrow that down if we need to. But there's a bunch of chaos, and the original shock of his dad dying, crazy. But then he's aware, he's in the horror, he's in the moment. He hears an actual interaction, and then the mom goes down, and she lands right where he's hiding under the table. And he can't scream, he can't make any sound. He just has to kind of do that whole thing. And maybe that's our introduction. Maybe he wakes up from that.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Is that what you're thinking? I think that's our introduction.
He has a dream exactly of those events, and then he wakes up, and then he's like, "Oh,
I like that.
Damn, that sucked."
I like that. I was not sure what this was going to look like. I'm really enjoying what we've come up with so far. This is sick.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. So, right. So that's where we start. I'm going to look at what you're writing. Eyes are the, quote, good monster. Flesh holes are the, quote, bad monster. Yeah, makes sense. Mirror realms, the footsteps are you. Oh, there's something there, too. Because I think the idea that there is a... Sorry, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
No, because I'm just thinking the footsteps could also, even if it isn't directly like the robber, murderer, whatever, that like tied to that, that is what he thinks of when he hears the footsteps, which are him.
Because so we're on like a similar wavelength here. Because what I was thinking is the footsteps, not only like in a physical narrative sense, are like this shell creature, but like in a more metaphorical sense. So I think what you were pitching was more like the final echo of fear. I was thinking more like guilt. Like maybe this was, he wished that he could have done something. Like I imagine, like in reality he couldn't have. He was a child, and like he would have died.
Yeah.
But he still feels like maybe I should have charged the attacker. Or maybe I should have tried to run for help earlier, or whatever. And that's why he hears the footsteps, because it's, it's what he needed to have been doing. But actually, what you said I actually like better, because I think that takes a more evocative role. So you know what I think we need to do is, if and when we write this first chapter, this intro dream sequence, we need to call a great attention to the sound that the robber's shoes makes when he or she walks into. I think we said jewelry store. I think that makes sense. There are a bunch of jewelry stores and malls, and I guess they probably have kind of expensive stuff. So do we think if and when Aaron has an encounter with the source of the footsteps, which I was and still am kind of okay with letting be just like set dressing that like lingers in his head and has no resolution. But in the case that he does encounter the source of it, does it take on the appearance of the robber in his memory?
That's kind of how I envisioned it.
Okay. Like psychological manipulation.
Like in reality, it is like if he's like, there's a mirror, it's him and him, but through the glass, he sees the robber staring back at him.
Oh, and that also can tie in with the guilt. It's the fear of the robber and the weird misplaced feeling that he is somehow also responsible for his parents or maybe his mom's death.
Yeah.
I'm on it. I'm totally into it. That's sick.
Footsteps, mirror, robber.
I think that works so well because what Lovecraftian horror really has to toe the line between making, your protagonist and the characters you follow in a story distanced enough that you can watch crazy things happen to them and watch them be swallowed by the unknowable and still kind of understand it, but also relatable enough that you still feel empathy for them. I think that's a great way to do it. And obviously, like, the way we're writing this, Aaron is the protagonist, but I'm okay with him dying. Kind of. I mean, it's a cosmic horror story. I kind of, it feels like it's a fuck situation no matter what happens. If he makes it out, he's still in the apocalypse world. So
if he makes it out, he's going to be in a dead world.
Yeah.
Like
there's no saving anything here.
Yeah. Pretty much all of humanity it has been dead or is going to die.
Yeah.
Like their souls, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's just that our reality is this sort of purgatory sort of thing of like trying to keep them like sane.
Yeah. I think a very comparable actual thing is, again, the Matrix, which is like, we're keeping you here and we're keeping it comfortable, not because we actually care about you, but because it just is the easiest way to keep you in the same spot. Keep you in control. Okay. All right. So we've got our first chapter. Aaron has a weird dream of his history. Wakes up, maybe interacts with his aunt. Goes about a day in the town. We are given insight into the fact that he is maybe unpopular and seen as kind of like a fringe journalist. We're given insight into the fact that there's already an eerie atmosphere over the town and like an energy about this mall, even if it's not like a central part of the actual layout of town. And we are given we as the audience are given the reason why Aaron would want to return to the mall. Maybe his dreams have been getting worse or more frequent, and he feels a need to just do something about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that where we're at? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's like I'm reliving this event. I might as well go confront it. And that is where he like his story starts. And then it is again like he is into the supernatural, but that's not necessarily his only reason for going back there. Like it's more so he thinks that it's just for himself, but it turns out that it is like a far greater thing that called him here. Yeah,
he can tell everyone is like, oh, I'm going to the mall, and everyone's like, that's the freak. He loves his urban exploration. He loves his urban legends. He loves his whatever, and he can even tell himself that. But he gets there. He gets to the parking lot. Like I said earlier, when I was envisioning things, I mentioned this. The outside looks really decrepit. It looks run down. It looks abandoned. I imagine every horror game has this, and I might write a video essay about this at some point because I've been thinking about it recently. It's really fascinating. But every horror game has its point of no return. Outlast is when you crawl up into the vent and then drop down into the main room because you can't crawl back up into that vent. Resident Evil 7 has Ethan Winters getting punched and brought to the main house. It's just a bunch of stuff like that. I picture that not only like in a more spiritual cosmic sense, that when he enters the mall, he can't get out. I think something should physically restrict him from just climbing back. Like if he goes in through a window, for instance, the window should close behind him and like latch from the outside. Like I think he feels physically trapped from the first moment.
So I'm imagining like it's like a multi-story like mall, and like there's so much overgrowth that he has to go to like one of like a story or two above and like rappel down with a rope that then he tries to get back up and then it snaps.
Yeah.
Like like it doesn't snap until after he tries to get back out.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I actually like that because maybe even we let the escape route linger for like a little bit, where it's like he starts exploring the mall and having weird experiences, but we know the rope's still there, and then when he actually tries to use it, then it snaps and we're like, oh fuck, that's a doubling down instead of it just being like, I guess we're stuck here now. I like that. I think that's great. I like that. Okay. And I mentioned this a couple times. I don't remember where we landed on it. I like the idea of a cop following him in. And maybe taking a different route into the building so that they have their own experiences before coming back together. But like, do you think he knows the cop beforehand?
I think it is almost like a wellness check sort of type situation.
Okay.
Because it is like it could be like, if we want to give the cop more of like a connection to him, it could be the cop that he talked to after his parents were murdered, like after that incident. So they have this weird sort of like semi like parental relationship.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit older. Yeah.
I love that. I wrote a cop very briefly. Do you want me to tell you them and we decide whether we want to keep it or not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I wrote her originally as early in her career. That would not be the case if we're going by the backstory we just established, which I really like. But I have Anna Watanabe, and I had her as early in her career as kind of like naive and fumbling or bumbling, but I think maybe at this point it's more just like out of her element is maybe the best way to frame, is that she's not incompetent, and like I'm not trying to do propaganda here, but it's like she's not like a bad cop. She's just like this is not the environment. Like she's a small town cop who actually has the best interests of people in mind, and we get immediate confirmation of this because of her relationship with Aaron, which I actually think helps shoe some of the doubts that I would have writing a police character. But yeah, she is a competent police officer, but she is not competent in this situation because this situation is wildly out of any experience she would have had before. I think one thing I did have was that she is not good in stressful situations. Like she is a very competent law enforcement agent. She is not good at responding to what's the word I'm looking for? Moments of chaos, moments of like just really high intensity situations. So like she's not the one that you throw at a shooting. She's the one that you give to the victim after the fact. Which I like. And then I was gonna say that I said she follows Aaron into the mall in hopes of arresting him, but I think what you said makes more sense. She maybe it's that Aaron and her have a more communicative relationship, and then recently they've stopped communicating, and she's worried about that. So she checks in with people. A lot of people say, he's been talking a lot about the mall. That sets off an alarm in her mind because obviously they both know what happened at the mall. And when she finally catches up with him, once she learns what's happening, it's like seconds too late. Like she watches him go through that first window and watches the window closed behind or whatever is restricted in some way, and goes, all right, got to find another way into the mall. And that's how she enters the narrative. That's what I like. Yeah. I like her. All right. Again, we can kill her, but
I just got an idea of like how to like introduce her would be like if it's like something from above, and then as he's trying to get out, the rope snaps, he falls back and he sees two eyes peering down at him, and then he hits his head and he's like knocked out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And so we're saying that we get a couple chapters into the story before we,
Mhm.
we show that, and then maybe we backpedal, perspective shift.
Mhm.
We see a little bit more time in the town from her perspective, and then we see the inverse of the scene we saw earlier, where she's looking down at him. We suddenly go,
Yeah.
oh, that's who the eyes was. And then maybe after
Mhm.
that little recontextualization, we snap back to his perspective and are more prepared for him to see her later.
Yeah, because
Are we telling this story
honestly,
in the third person or the first person? That's an interesting little moment. Little note.
I'm thinking about it. If you do want to do like a perspective shift thing, something that I love to do is either do a tense shift or a perspective shift.
Sure.
So it could be like third person omniscient is one view, and then first person is another view, like from another character. So the reader knows immediately, like, okay, this is this character's perspective now.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I don't know if you remember because it's been a while, but what I did with Cold Bodies was when he was like the cold body, it was I believe it was present tense, and then like the real person, like the protagonist before you realize they're the same person, is written in like past tense, sort of thing.
Yeah,
So,
I do recall that, and I think that really works. Honestly, in the same vein, in the sequel series to Percy Jackson, the Heroes of Olympus series, when they introduced the character of Jason, I believe Jason was written in the third person, and Percy was continued to be written in the first person like he was in the original series, which was a very fascinating way, especially in the third book when they finally did actually intersect.
Yeah.
It would, between chapters, go between third person descriptions of Jason, first person descriptions of Percy. So it might have believed that Aaron would be first person and Anna would be third.
Yeah, probably, because then that's more like the psychological horror is in his mind mostly.
Yeah. It's easier to kill Anna. I don't know why I want to kill her so bad. I just feel like I want to for stakes, but it's easier to kill her if she's in third person.
Yeah, no, and especially like I guess this is kind of superficial, but because they're both like, she's a female cop and it was his mother that he saw, and it's his aunt that he lives with. He like all of the female like influences in his life are the people that he's most afraid of losing.
Sure.
And
I don't think that's superficial at all. I think that's actually a really strong connection that I hadn't even considered. No, that's great. Yeah. He really values these female people, these women.
Yeah, that could be influenced the way that like Skylar, the Molgoth, like how their relationship is.
Then
like,
I elaborate on that? What if Skylar is younger than Aaron? I'm imagining like a high schooler, like a 19-year-old almost, or I guess high schooler would be like 17, 18-year-old. But and so Aaron maybe takes on a more protective role of her before, because I guess she's already kind of dead. Is that what we need to figure out what's happening there.
I think the way that like the spirit people that are a part of it are like, it could be either that they are people who have died in here that are reanimated, like through like by being close between the bridges of the real and fake worlds, like it's their souls sort of in there,
maybe separated from their own shells, like wait, there's something there too. We can come back to that, but let's come back to that. Okay. So to my earlier point, Skylar as a high schooler, Aaron as a man in his early 20s, he takes on a protective role of her, not just because she's a woman, but also because like the space that she occupies and maybe certain elements of her personality are relatable to him in a very personal way, and in a very we keep doing this, but in a very Silent Hill kind of, Maria and Mary kind of thing. There is a, and I don't even want it to be like that dramatic as it is presented in Silent Hill 2, but like there is that through line of like, I'm trying to help you because I couldn't help them, Yeah. I like that. I really like that. We're in a good spot. Okay. So we've got the first couple chapters now at this point. Introduction, Aaron goes to the mall. Aaron explores the mall a little bit. We should maybe nail down what actually happens that first initial exploration a little bit, but we'll come back. End of chapter, I guess 3. He tries to escape. Rope snaps, sees Anna in a brief flash that is recontextualized later. Chapter 4. Flashback, not flashback. Step back, Anna's perspective, third person. We see what her doing a brief stint around the town, trying to find out what's happening, coming to the mall. 4th chapter ends with her seeing the inverse of what we already saw. 5th chapter, we come back to Aaron. But before we even talk about that, let's talk about his first experience in the mall. Because I don't think he meets Skylar immediately. I think that comes later.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So what do you? I've thrown out a couple spooky kind of qualities of the mall, but what do you think is like the best way to introduce what this mall is going to be, what the setting is going to be in like a contained sense, just a sample.
Yeah. I think that what happens is that he goes back to that store that the murders happened at, and it could be like it was like renovated and it's like a different thing before it was shut down. But when he walks in, he starts to like visualize like this is where the counter was. That's where I've made eye contact with the killer or whatever. It could be that, like, honestly, I think that the eyes could be the killer and like that
maybe
image
a little
of, like,
bit of both. Yeah. Okay, I like that. I think that it maybe even it doesn't even start as so much as like he's getting like some kind of physical manifestation. He's just thinking about it. But as he's pacing around this location, and I do like the idea of like it got changed into something so innocuous, like it's like a crumble cookie or some, like maybe not. That's actually a little, maybe not that, but something. He's walking around the location, and that is the first time, as he's thinking about his mom, as he's thinking about the robber, that is the first time he notices the footsteps. He walks out of the store, he goes, hello? Yeah. Hello? Once he's standing still, he doesn't hear anything. Keeps looking around, keeps hearing it. It's kind of fucking with him. And then I think there needs to be some amping up. He needs to encounter something. Maybe he sees his first eye.
What I'm imagining is that, like, as he's like remembering all this stuff, he sees a physical manifestation of like the killer, but he can't see the eyes on it. Like it's fully obscured, and then he like sees the gun, and then like there's the first hole like appears like in his hand or his arm or something of like where he imagines getting shot, and that's why like he like immediately runs over to the rope and tries to climb out, and like maybe in his hassle it snags like a broken piece of glass and snaps, and that's why like that happens.
So maybe even that first time he doesn't even think that there's anything supernatural happening. He just kind of thinks he's been shot, essentially. Okay, cool. So okay.
And over the course of the story, it could form into like more of like the boil than a gunshot.
But maybe it. No. I think that's totally fair. But I think initially, the logic part of his brain is like, well, nothing else makes sense, so I must have been shot or attacked or whatever. When you envision the robber, have you been envisioning them with a mask the whole time?
Yeah.
Because that like really brings attention to the eyes, I think. Yeah. And also, it brings a great question of who was it? Will I find out who it was?
Yeah, and I do like the idea of it literally like we never learn like the actual identity of the robber. It is something. It is like the robber himself is not what's important. It's like what he did to like the main character's psyche, I guess, is like important to the horror of this story.
I totally agree. Robber long gone, totally just and that and not to get away from the actual narrative itself, but that's again what I love about kind of Lovecraftian horror is that a lot of the times stuff that would become like in like a true crime thriller, like a like it would be someone you know in a lot of other movies. In Lovecraftian horror, it's just like, nah, we just needed there to be a reason for this person to be here, and it sucks that it's so tragic and scary for them. But like, no, do you think the robber was in league with a god? No, he just was. He just killed someone for money. I don't know. No, I think that's great. I don't think we have to know who the robber is, and I think that there's a world where we pay attention to that, where Aaron is desperate to know the identity, and it is that element of him is used against him as another form of psychological, torture. It's like, you'll never know. I'm gonna keep you guessing. But I also think it could just be something that is just left in the dark and we don't even address. I think both of them could be equally effective, honestly.
Yeah. I just wrote this down because I have like I'm like envisioning it like it's like instead of a jewelry store, it's like a I don't know, like a place that sells earrings or something. So it has like mirrors around, and he like as he looks into one of the mirrors, he sees the eyes of the robber. He turns around, and the eyes, like, he doesn't see them, and then he gets shot because they are two separate entities,
right?
And that is but
so,
he doesn't realize that at the beginning. He just
To clarify, do you mean he turns around and sees nothing and then gets shot, or he turns around and sees the robber and the robber has no eyes?
That's kind of what I envision.
The second one?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Either like he like literally the vision of it has no eyes, like they're just gone, or he's like fully cased in shadow, and it just looks generally like the figure of that robber that like shoots him.
Which one of those is better? I like them both. But sometimes you ever write something or you ever conceptualize something and you go, that's horror trying to be horror. That's something being scary for scariness' sake. I almost like the robber being in shadow more than the robber having blatantly like horrific or I guess lack of features in a horrifying way. I think we keep him in shadow because it accomplishes the same thing of the most familiar element of the memory being gone without it because I still like the idea of like for the first little bit Aaron doesn't realize something supernatural is happening and just thinks he's having like a traumatic reaction, and also I guess there's a murderer still there, but okay, cool. So that's his first interaction. It ends with he gets quote unquote shot. You said hand. I think that works too because it's very like you can just always check it. It's like almost a clock for where he's at in his adventure. Runs, tries to get out of there. Has a whole like I like to imagine that like the way that it is written, or rather the way it's framed, or however, it feels like you keep waiting for the next thing to happen, or rather maybe even Aaron's waiting for the next thing to happen. He thinks he's gonna feel that second gunshot. He's gonna see another person around a corner, and he's just waiting for it, but it doesn't happen. He climbs up that rope. He gets like halfway up. He's like, whew, and then he falls, and then he falls.
And sorry, he's running away, and he thinks that he's being chased because he hears the second set of footsteps.
Yes.
That is himself.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. Yeah. That's awesome. No, that's perfect. And again, like he kind of is. He's being chased by himself, but it's different. It's not what he thinks is chasing him. It's not who he thinks is chasing him. That's perfect. That is so perfect. Okay. And then we get our situation with Anna where it's recontextualized. Can I pitch you this? The person, or rather, when Aaron comes to, his body has been moved, and he wakes up in the presence of Skylar, who has, for whatever reason, moved him to a secondary location out of the way.
Yeah, I do like that, because then you don't have was it Aaron and Anna, or Anna? Was it?
I think I said Anna, but it could be either.
Okay, but that way you don't have them immediately meeting, and you can have the two different perspectives of like Anna is like just behind him, and she keeps finding like, oh, he left this whatever here, like a carton of like cigarettes, or something like that from like like if he and Skylar like have a smoke and like they just talk and get to know each other,
Yeah.
and then he leaves, and then like that's like just she follows the trail, and she like her I guess her separate phobia, whatever that may be, we haven't really
Which we should
discussed
get into,
that
maybe,
yet.
yeah. And I think I've got some ideas there, but I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I also think that we can also do this fun thing of like Anna gets attacked in one section of the mall, uses her service weapon, fires, and Aaron hears that and doesn't associate that with the police officer, associates that with the murder of his mom and runs in the other direction. And so there's like all these near misses. How long do we want to keep them apart, I guess is the question.
I guess it would be like if there were to be like a part 1, part 2, it would be until like right before part 2, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Like
sure.
a sort of there is some sort of like more overtly supernatural thing that seems to be happening that brings them together through some way. Like
Cool.
like it could literally be like the PA in one part of it is going off and it's like an alarm or something like that, so they both go to it.
Yeah.
As they're both being chased by some sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think maybe our next step should be establishing what that thing is, because I think at this point we do need there to be a physical threat to distance from the eye stuff. Like, what actually did this to Aaron? What did that?
I imagine it would be like
is it just the shells?
Influence. I guess
It doesn't have to be. I'm just brainstorming out here, but
I imagine it's like the influence of like the thing that there's like some entity that does not want them to meet. But the entity that like created the mall sort of thing does want them to meet to form that connection for some reason. And there's another entity that's like oh I want to like wear the shells. I don't want them to have meat in them or whatever, you know. Like it's something like that where they want to like use these and they're like slowly leaking into it as like a fleshy sort of virus almost.
Okay. So we're looking at almost 3 antagonistic forces here, I think. We've got we've got the good one who does scary stuff but doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
We've got the shells, which are just an extension of whatever the apocalypse is, trying to reconnect with what's the separation point that is the mall. And then we've got the third entity, which is like completely independent of the apocalypse and the good entity. I've just been drawn to, you said the shell. So, it's not even really hunting the meat. It's hunting the external, like every single part of this narrative is incredibly predatory, not even to just humanity, to everything. It's just a bad place to live in. Okay. All right. What if, I'm going to throw a weird thing out there. What if there's, I just watched Project Hail Mary after reading it, and this was a plot point in that book. What if whatever these things are, that these different gods or aliens, whatever we've been calling them, also have an independent, separate natural predator that is not a threat to them at large. Like, it's not going to wipe out the gods, but it is just like any ecosystem, even this crazy cosmic one. There's just a creature that preys on, I guess, the trimmings left behind of this apocalypse. Yeah. So it's not eating the gods, but it is part of the ecosystem that's been established here. And because of whatever this weird mall is, there's something really enticing about that space to this predator.
Yeah.
This is a fully new element, but I kind of like it.
So what if it's almost like I forget what it is, but like bugs that have like a brain-eating fungus in them.
I think it's cordyceps.
It's that sort of thing.
Like from Last of Us.
Cordyceps. Thank you. Yeah. But what if it's like a cordyceps-like thing, and that it is the reason that it is like harming like the meat, I guess, as they get closer, is because it is hunting the shells, trying to implant itself into like the shell on the other side, and therefore harming it like there.
Okay, actually, here's an idea. We don't have to use this. What if it already has? What if not even in the moment, but like what if very quickly after we keep using meat and shells, and this actually really works for me for framing, but we'll find a better word for it maybe. What if when the meat and the shells separate, the shells weirdly are actually in that situation incredibly vulnerable, and this virus, this predator, it immediately attaches itself to the shell. And then when the shells come in, not only are the shells themselves kind of trying to reattach with their humanity, their meat, but it's also whatever's attached itself to the shells is also trying to prey on the meat. So they are aligned in that the shell's natural inclination is already to come back to the meat, but now it's extra dangerous because not only does it mean potentially going back to the apocalyptic world where your reality's being hidden from you.
Yeah.
And that weirdly becomes a better case scenario than what actually would happen, which was that maybe you would just be consumed by the secondary parasite that is piloting the second body. And that allows for a much more physical representation of horror in the same story, which has these metaphorical representations. Yeah.
And I imagine it could also be appearing as it's going, like as it's in the shells of the person. It's appearing to them differently, so it appears as like this sort of fleshy mass to Aaron,
right?
But like what if Anna is like afraid of bugs, and to her it looks like just like bugs are like coming
infested.
Out of the
it looks like a burn victim to Skylar, or rather maybe it looks like a person on fire. I don't know. I think burn victim probably makes more sense, but interesting. Yeah, I'm totally with it. So it's, and then maybe its form of predation is not so visceral. Like maybe that's a part of it. Maybe it does have to physically kill you to eat you, but the way it hunts its prey is psychological in its own way. Like, because like what we're saying is Aaron is seeing the eyes, because that's his traumatic connection to the small, which has its own connection to its God thing. Meanwhile,
through the emotion.
Meanwhile, the thing that's actually harming Aaron is part one, sort of himself. Part two, a different entity from the good thing, so it's not going to utilize psychological horror in the same way. But because there is overlap between what Aaron values and what he fears, it manages to utilize similar themes against him.
Yeah.
Did you see the moment I said that? I was like, oh yeah. I could hear the logic come together. I'm feeling it. I'm into it. Let's stick with bugs. Why does Anna hate bugs?
It literally, it could be like that. A similar thing of like seeing a body, but she didn't see a body that was like shot. She saw a body that was like it was like rotting, and there were bugs infesting it.
That's exactly
what
like
I was
thinking.
Her most traumatic thing. And it could be like early on in her career as a police officer, she does like
maybe it's the reason she can't do intense stuff as a cop anymore, because she's afraid of finding another body.
Yeah, she just does a wellness check on like somebody, and ever since then, bugs have been in her mind, and and
there's even overlap too of all these themes. Getting burnt produces a rough texture on the skin. A bug beneath the skin is definitely kind of like a weird like offshoot of tryptophobia in itself. They can have an experience that is shared while still having their own individual horror experience within that moment. I think that's very
that's like
powerful.
So like if when Aaron meets Skylar, she's like, nasty burn you had, and he's like, well, it I got shot. I didn't get,
Oh, they see the wound differently.
yeah, like they
Yeah.
see the wounds differently. And like
Interesting.
that puts the whole, especially when we're hopping from perspective to perspective,
Mm-hmm.
like Anna keeps seeing like a cockroach like crawl out of his hand, like and she keeps telling him that there's something wrong and that he needs to, like, they need to get out to disinfect that because it's infested.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it starts, like, it almost like grows into like more of like a fleshy mass to him that starts to resemble the form of like that eye.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
more
dude.
and more as it goes through.
She says infestation. He hears infection. There's this different, like, he starts to see the eyes in his skin. She starts to see movement underneath his skin. Like, yeah. And truly, the fun part of that is you could attribute that horror, and maybe even leave it vague in certain scenes. You could attribute that horror to either person, but I think unless they're actually, I don't think we need to be clear in every scene, but I do think that in a writer's sense, nothing that you see that has to do with, again, the quote unquote good God should actually be hurting you. It should just be making you afraid that you're going to get hurt, versus when you, like, and maybe it doesn't always work, but when you associate with the shell predators, there's like real damage happens. Like, no matter what, he does have damage on his hand. It just appears to people differently.
Yeah. And I think that the reason, like, Aaron could be the more like the protagonist because he sees the eyes, but Anna doesn't have an equivalent to the eyes because she wasn't called here by the mall. She just is here by coincidence, following Aaron, who was called here by his shell, and also the parasite inside his shell is trying to get to him, and also the good one trying to get him out of this. Because and
because she's in the mall, she does have her own shell creature, but it's not specific. It's not utilizing like this deep, because it couldn't, because her traumatic encounter happened somewhere else. It happened in a different place. I don't know if we've already established this, but I think it kind of just makes sense. Skylar burned to death inside the small.
I feel like
kind of feels like she would have had to. How do we think, is it extra tragic? Did she get chased somewhere or trapped somewhere, or was it just a full accident? Like, is it her fault? I think that could also be an interesting element.
Maybe like it seems like the mall, like officially the mall was shut down because there was a huge fire. And like that is like that's why Skylar is like one of the first, like, I guess, like non-real people that he sees in there, is because she was like the latest like victim of it, like right before it closed and people stopped going.
Oh, okay. So do you mean that after it had closed she went? No, you mean that she was the last person to die before it closed? Okay, that's cool. So when he reaches the outside of the mall in the first or second chapter or whatever it is, it looks pretty burnt, like kind of. Okay. And maybe, no, that's not even important, but okay, interesting. Okay. Was Skylar caught up in it, or was Skylar responsible for it? And if she was responsible for it, was it an accident or was it on purpose? Trying to think of like what.
What if literally that is the reason that the mall closed, and that Skylar is here, and she is unwittingly basically like doomed humanity on accident by causing this fire that then shut down the mall, because less people would go to the mall to have their souls like attached to it and live for it, like,
Okay, yeah. And to add to that, then, what if she was influenced by one of the antagonistic gods, one of the apocalyptic gods, to do that because they knew they couldn't, for whatever reason? Maybe it's just got to do with the rule sets of these gods. We don't have to actually like outline it, but like they can't interact with each other truthfully in that way. Like maybe there's some
Yeah.
kind of veil over reality, whatever. I guess we've established there is, so maybe it would just be too clear to people. But one of them had to use an actual mortal to restrict this place. And to add to it, and the reason that Skylar still lingers is because the good entity is kind of giving, like, recompense isn't the right word. It is doing its best to give Skylar something back for the role that she was thrust into, right? She was used as a tool of the other gods, and therefore the good god is keeping her alive because, well, you got screwed over already, and so in my weird backwards sense, I'm gonna reward you for. Although, wouldn't it take on an antagonist? Maybe. Maybe it's trying to torture her.
It could be that, because I imagine that because she died before Y2K, that caused the splintering of meat and shell, basically, right? So she is a full, like, an actual human,
right?
And because of that, that is why she's, like, sort of trapped on the other side of it, because
her shell must be dead.
Yeah, her shell is, like, it is dead.
Yeah.
But she is still stuck in, like, the what we think is the real world, but is, like, the mirror world.
Right.
Because, like, she is basically a body without like a full, like, she has a fractional.
Wait. Sorry. To clarify, which part of her is dead? I think it actually works. It could be interesting either way. Did her humanity die, or did her body die?
I'm really not sure.
Let's come back to that.
It could be.
Let's come back to that.
Yeah, honestly, it could be a bit of both, because it was, like, if it was, like, on the, like, if it literally closed, like, on the day, like, December 31st, if it closed on that day.
I kind of like that. It's a little campy, but I kind of like it. Like, so like on the line.
Yeah, it's literally, like, both, like this part and this part have parts taken away, because it's right dead in the center of the inflection point.
So maybe, regardless of how you look at it, she's a half person either way. Half of her shell is gone, half of her humanity is gone, and so she's untethered. This actually, I think this is the way to go, because it makes it so every single potentially antagonistic force, even if we're calling the good god an antagonist, has a reason to dislike her, because the good god, which at some point we should iron out the details of. The good god doesn't like her because it feels she was responsible for destroying them all and making it no longer a bastion. The apocalyptic gods don't like her because she kind of failed, because the mall does still kind of exist. And so neither one of them are that bad to her, because there's still an element of the part that they utilized to her. There's an element of the shell that the apocalyptic god liked, and there's an element of the humanity. However, there's also so she truly, more than anyone else, is in limbo. She's having a bad time, but she's not having the worst time. Yeah. If you're ready to jump back into it, I think it's probably time that we start outlining, and I think it's actually probably a good idea not to go too overboard, but start outlining a little bit about these gods, or these entities, these aliens. We've called them a couple things, but we should find out, like, what they are and what they're kind of doing a little bit. Yeah. And maybe why. Why is always hard in cosmic horror. You know?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, are you more of, like, a modern cosmic horror fan, or have you read Lovecraft, or, like?
Oh yeah, I've read a decent amount of Lovecraft. Yeah, I have a whole, like, a collection of, like, multiple books. They're this long. Like all
Nice.
like I yeah.
Yeah.
Most of what I've read, especially because like I haven't read a lot lately, just because I'm so busy.
It's hard to. It's hard to. It's a
But
huge commitment.
yeah, most of what I've read has been either Junji Ito. I love Hellstar Ramina. That is
Which
probably
one?
Hellstar Ramina or Remina.
Um,
Some people pronounce it.
I'm
That
not
is like the
familiar at all.
most like cosmic of his stuff. It isn't in like you have the Tomie one. I have one of Uzumaki and Hellstar Ramina. But those are
Oh wait, it has like a big old moon, right?
yeah,
I think
it's
that
like
might be
a moon
the
with an
one
eye.
of his
Yeah.
like black and white anthology books that I don't have yet. Because I've got this one, I've got Uzumaki, and I've got Gyo, which is the shark one.
Oh yeah,
Gyo's
I have not read that one
weird.
yet. But I
Gyo's
think I
weird
have.
as hell. It's not what you're thinking. It's like a lot of farts. Like weirdly like a lot of fart stuff.
Okay.
Which you wouldn't expect, but
Okay.
it is. Yeah. Like it plays a huge role in it. Um anyway, point being, I think it's important to come up with a little bit of a framework for our antagonists and I guess like deuteragonist, if anything. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, do I think we should start with the ones I've been referring to as the apocalypse gods, the collective that is responsible for subjugating humanity, essentially. We don't have to necessarily say why they're doing it, but I think we should at least decide how they're doing what they're doing. And we have a framework there. Humanity is the wool is being pulled over their eyes I guess to keep them docile more than anything else. Makes sense. There is a separation between their physical form and I guess their spiritual form, their soul, like
Yeah.
the body they inhabit and the person they are two different entities that in this apocalyptic world are still combined but operating separately. Essentially, the humanity has been like compressed, like just fully captured, and the bodies are just playing out the regular motions of humanity, tricking humanity itself into thinking it's still operating freely. I think that's basically where we already are operating from, which is a good starting point. But I guess my question is, what is the end goal? Does each individual human at some point meet some terrible fate, or is all of reality, even as you and I are experiencing it right now, already a part of some larger system that it's just that we just can't conceptualize?
I think the idea is that in like the canon of this story, it takes place in like this world that we're in, like our world. And at the end of every human's like life is when like that is for some reason that is like what they want. It's like not necessarily death, but the end of a life. Like that's why people grow old, even being like these shells and like stuff like that. Is that they want humans to be like
complete.
It's almost like, sorry.
I complete was a word that popped into my head.
Yeah, almost like it's like they want, like they're doing this because humanity is like has some sort of interesting thing to them. That could be like the idea of just the general idea of emotion, because these are like highly logical, like alien god entities,
just unempathetic, like unfeeling almost. So okay, I think that's an interesting thing. And
it's almost as if they're just animals that have disposal to these tools, and they're just playing with us to try and understand.
And maybe beyond that, if the reason they can't just kill someone and take their motion is maybe twofold. Maybe one, it essentially like ruins the meat, if anything. Like, you know how if an animal is in fear when you kill it, the meat gets tainted. Maybe it's something similar to that. If you kill a human before its natural time in this cosmic sense, ruins the meat. But then also, they're trying to get the most bang from their buck, so it really does benefit them to have a human live out its full life, except through this apocalypse, they're able to maintain control in enough of a way that they benefit from its ending somehow.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where
And
we're
like,
at?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And like the reason that like gruesome crimes and like murders happen is because you can still die from within, like it is almost like, I guess what we've been calling like the meat is almost like the soul / mind almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is like, you can still like die, you can lose your mind, or like, I guess like literally like lose it from your actual physical body.
Sure.
Because like humans still have free will. It's just that will is being fed off of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because the main reason I'm saying that is because I don't want it to be I don't want it to be in this world ancient gods caused 9/11 or something stupid like that.
No, yeah, you raise a good point that if you imply that every death is at the direct hand of the gods, that raises some ethical questions down the line.
Yeah.
Not ethical. I doubt they have any ethics, but I mean, like, it raises some questions I'd prefer not to answer. I guess maybe. What if it was this? Okay. These apocalyptic gods. I think honestly, I like that. The apocalyptic gods works for now. We can maybe rename them, but that's a great way of whatever. These apocalyptic gods benefit from the ending of a human life. Oh, as I'm about to lay this out, it's actually feeling like exactly what I didn't want. Hold on. Because okay. Tell me how you feel about this. Maybe we don't do this because it could be weird. So maybe we don't do this. But let me just lay this out and work through it verbally. The perpetuation of violence in human society is a byproduct of the apocalypse currently happening. The control that these gods have over reality. And they're doing it, they are perpetuating violence as a more normal part of reality in the hopes that they will be able to consume more of whatever they're looking for from humanity. Now, that technically does go right into the gods causing 9/11, but if we wanted to go that direction, we could, but if that's not the direction we want to go, then we need to redefine their relationship with humanity, I think.
I think it's just that they allow it to perpetuate. Like, instead of stopping it because they want humans to live for longer, if humans kill each other, that's just a measure of their emotions, their hate, their anger, their agony. Like, that's a FNAF term.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Because what I'm trying to figure out is what makes the apocalypse horrifying? Like, what makes it a bad alternative? Because if all that it is that gods just get off on seeing the human experience, that's not even necessarily that horrifying because you still just get the human experience. What if when a human dies in this reality, what comes next is still pretty bad? Like, when they are consumed, like, for whatever reason, my brain keeps flashing to the movie Nope. I don't know if you've ever seen that. That's the Jordan Peele movie with Jean Jacket. Great movie. But weirdly, like, it's flashing to those couple scenes it has inside of Jean Jacket after he's consumed a bunch of people and they're all like stuck in this hellscape, and like, it doesn't have to be that, but like, what if that is what is next when the gods consume you? When your spirit, like when your soul ends, it's supposed to go somewhere else. Be that, call it whatever you want. Call it heaven, call it the afterlife, call it nirvana, call it reincarnation, whatever. It's supposed to go somewhere else, but in this new apocalypse, they eat your soul, right? So the horrifying thing is not what's happening. The horrifying thing is how it ends, maybe. Is that a better way to do that, I think?
Yeah, I think, and okay, yes, I do. I'm just thinking about
Let's work it out. Let's work it out.
what if the mall is more physically, like literally physically, the monster, and it is like you are going through its body and like technically like getting consumed, but not dying, and
Okay.
that is how you get to the other side. Like
You loophole your way out of it.
yeah.
Ooh, the good God couldn't find a way to stop the process because whatever's happening, the apocalypse is so all encompassing, you're not fighting it. It happened, it's happening.
Yeah.
But the good God said, okay, in this one specific spot, I found a blind spot in the system where you have to go, dude, it's almost Inferno. It's Dante. You have to go through hell. It's Feed the Pig, if you've ever read that story. Great story.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You have to go through truly a torturous experience comparable to what your soul would experience. But at the end, and this works cosmically, you still die. Not like a good ending, but you don't die in the way that makes it so I guess your soul, like you don't go to hell, essentially. Like bad guy cosmic consumption hell.
Yeah, what happens is that you die in the same way that anybody else would die, but you go where your soul is meant to go.
Yeah, because for whatever, and again, we don't have to explain this. This is the great thing about Cosmic Core. We can just say, yeah, you did it, and it worked because the rules are weird. But your soul has already undergone the process that the apocalypse was meant to put it through.
Oh, and sorry, I just thought of it.
Sure.
We could give Aaron a happy ending in the way that, because his parents died, right?
Right,
but they
before
died
the
before
apocalypse.
before the
not right
apocalypse.
before,
So
but they did, yeah.
Yeah. So like, they died, and they're still sort of like their memories and like stuff like that are a part of the mall, and that by going through it, he brings them with him, like to like the other side.
Right.
Because like like they're there.
Yeah.
Like their souls are there, but their memories are not. So like they're there and they're happy, and like they're like in heaven, whatever, and they're happy, but they don't know that they've lost a son that's not with them because their memories are attached to the mall. He brings their memories with him, like by going through and like accepting all this trauma that he has.
Yeah.
And then he puts himself back into their memories, and he's there with them, so they never experience
Can I pitch a scene?
They never
here?
experience sorrow. Yeah.
No, I love it. Can I pitch a scene? Because their last memory before their murder was him as a kid. I guess this would be right at the end if we want to even depict this, but like, their last memory of him is as a child. So when they are reunited, there's this huge moment where they, they see him grown up. They see, and it's not that they don't know this person, but they suddenly are like flooded with the reality of what's actually happened. They remember not only like the kid they had, but what if, I'm going to add like a little spice, little flavor.
Okay.
And it's not even flavor. We actually we specifically outlined this. The mother hid her child, hid Aaron, to save him from the robber once her husband had been killed, and then basically, I guess, sacrificed herself because she didn't reveal where her son was. Not that the robber cared about that, but just like she saved him.
Yeah. And
so, not only is it a reuniting, it is she not only saved her son, but she was able to save him even further by being the inciting thing to bring his humanity, his soul. This is getting weirdly Christian. Yeah. She saved his soul. She brought him through. Is she the one responsible for the dreams?
Maybe.
Or is the God? Like, we need to figure out what's going on with the basement God.
It's like kind of both. It's like kind of both.
Yeah. I don't want to say that they're the same person or that they're like a team, but I think it just could be like a mutual benefit. Like in this circumstance, they're able to. I love this.
Because she died in the mall, that is the domain of the creature. creature uses that to then save her son.
Mm-hmm.
And like it is like a mutual thing where like the creature like that is like they both benefit basically. And
I
it's
love
it just
that.
so
Yeah.
happens it just so happens that through that is the whole reason that the protagonist is here. Like it's all by happenstance, but it's
Yeah.
still caused
Yeah.
by a reason, you know?
I love that. No, that's great. Okay, I have two more thoughts. One of them is very like just another scene, and then the other one was I maybe have already forgotten. I'll start with the other one. Okay, so what we have established is that part of the cosmic like it's not the greatest ending of the scene is that Aaron's gonna die. He is going to die at the end. I really love the idea of Aaron's death being a sacrifice that does save the. Wait, is this crazy? Do we keep the cop alive? Hear me out. Okay, his death being a sacrifice that does save the life of one other person in the mall, allowing them to escape the physical location that is the mall. He gets his majority good ending by getting to, move on and have a good afterlife with his parents, his mom. And what's fascinating is whoever he saves, and it could be the cop who he does have this, kind of maternal relationship with at this point. In a very human sense, like in an audience specific sense, living through the horror movie or the horror story or the horror book or whatever is generally classified as a win, but knowing what she's going out into, it's also a loss. I really love, and maybe we're still kind of killing the cop a little bit, but I don't mean to look at the camera and be like, kill the cop, because that's not actually what I'm going for. I mean kill the character who happens to be a cop. But point being, it's like very bittersweet because the person gets to live, but we also know by the end of the story kind of what happens when she naturally dies in this setting. And I don't know, maybe we leave it open-ended with the idea that maybe she returns to the mall, but like I really like that being a part of it somehow.
Yeah. It could also be possibly that like through that sacrifice, like she becomes like a person like Skylar who is like almost like
limbo.
Like she's like she's in limbo, but
that's actually a perfect explanation. I was like trying to figure out Skylar. That's a perfect explanation. It's exactly what limbo is. Doesn't get to go to heaven, doesn't have to go to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
That's perfect. That actually I think that's the way to do it. Because that's a lot more nuanced and it leaves more for you to chew on when it ends. God, do I have to write this book? Do we have to write this?
I was about to say we should maybe we should start writing a book and co-write it and publish it.
Maybe.
Just saying.
This kind of fucking slaps. This is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. We do need to talk about the good God. We keep doing air quotes, and I think it's important to keep those air quotes relevant. I don't want them to be benevolent, but we need to logic out why they are helping people. Like, do they somehow benefit from people being in the afterlife?
I think it's almost I think it's almost that they are good in the way that they are only this because they are like a narcissistic God who does not. They want to keep control, they don't want all of the control of the universe, the world, whatever, to be in the hands of the apocalypse God.
Sure. But they're doing it for purely selfish reasons, not for any morality. Yeah. They just want the humans more than they want them, and these guys are hogging them.
Yeah.
Okay. And they say,
and it just so happens that through that process of bypassing that, they allow them to actually die. It's all just happenstance.
Yeah. So, God, I keep going back to the Pantheon because an idea that has continued to pop up in my head about this guy is that he is somehow the patron or like the god of this traditional afterlife as we've kind of been considering it. Like his source of power is the fact that people come to his domain after they die, and he has been almost usurped, which is interesting in itself, and that almost feels like its own can of worms. But like, do we want to do that, or is it simply like he's done a whole, I'm saying it has done a whole system. It has made an entirely new thing in the face of the apocalypse. Like, this is a brand new solution. This afterlife is, well, no, but that couldn't work though, because the apocalypse happened after the parents died, and narratively we want them to still be relevant. So he has some attachment to what happens to humans after they die, no matter what.
Yeah. Also, I think that it's more that I think it might be interesting if it is like a she.
Sure.
Because of the whole idea of like the
maternal
the representation of like maternal, and like just especially for Aaron having this almost like this bridge god, I guess.
Bridge god? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like like bridge, like this. They're the bridge to this whatever like real afterlife it actually is, but they aren't necessarily exactly it. They're just the bridge to it.
Sure. And and that makes perfect sense, because for the apocalyptic gods, I think calling them gods is fine. They can be gods. The apocalyptic gods, to accomplish what they want to accomplish now, would know that the best way to do that would be to cut off any point of access to these external areas where humanity and human souls or human consciousness goes after death.
Yeah.
And so not only does the apocalypse affect the majority of humanity, it also affects that god. So that god's also kind of hiding from the apocalypse, which also extends to why it would make a deal with Eugene Porter in the first place to establish this stronghold. Now, how did Eugene find out about the god? Maybe he reached out.
I was about to say, are we going to call, like, instead of just the mall, do we extend it a little bit to be the whole town? Because if we're calling it Arkakapa or whatever, if that's the name of the town and the mall, is it also the name of this bridge god?
I think Arkakapa, Arkakapa, whatever we call it, we'll nail down the pronunciation. I think that is the name of the god. That makes a lot of sense to me. That makes perfect sense. I do think it's just the mall. I think that the deal that, and this helps make it less of a benevolence kind of thing. The deal that Eugene made was when people, it's going to get a little FNAFy here. Let's do this.
Okay.
And you can tell me if I'm wrong about that, but I feel like it is. Okay. The deal that Eugene made with Arkakapa was that Arkakapa said, I will give you success as a businessman, as a landowner in this nondescript American town, in return for you establishing what is essentially like a holy building for me. No one will know that this mall is essentially a place of worship where you and I'm going to add, because I actually had an element of this in my original planning well before we just established the rest of this. You and your employees, and your employees don't know about it, but you and your employees are like in my congregation. You are all now worshipers of me, even if you don't know it. And anyone who dies here, or basically, let's even extend it. I think it's more of like a leeching effect. Anyone who spends a great deal of time here, and that can include dying here, but anyone who spends a great deal of time here becomes a part of my system. Not a part of me necessarily. Like, you don't get, like I said, I had amalgamation earlier as part of it. It doesn't have to be that, but you just become a part of the religion, as essentially, as it were, the whole concept, the spiritual concept. And so when you die here, very dramatically, you're in my domain, and that domain benefits you because you don't get digested, but you're mine. I own you, technically. And it's the best ownership you're going to get, but I own you. And so Eugene gets his success. The mall becomes a holy ground. And then the apocalyptic gods influence Skylar, knowing that they can't do anything on the holy ground, to try to burn down the mall. Skylar dies in the process. The mall is not razed, but it becomes much less of a human-centric area, which means that the apocalyptic gods start attacking it. No, they don't touch it. The shells and the predator are what touches it. No, the apocalyptic gods touch it through the shells. The predator's attached to the shells as a third party that's also spooky.
Yeah.
Come into the mall. We're finding it. Come into the mall. Through that influence, Skylar is in limbo because of the way that she exists in both settings. She, as someone who worked in the mall, still is part of the congregation, so she's not going to be sent to the digestion dimension.
Yeah.
But as someone who's responsible for the destruction, is also not going to be sent, is not going to be freed into this better control state. So she's just a ghost there, essentially. We'll keep her physical because I think that's fun for the story. But she's a ghost.
Yeah.
When people come to the mall, because of the situation that Skylar and all of the history and Eugene, and we need to talk about Eugene still, but we'll come back to that. Because of all of that, there is a much greater impetus. I don't think that's the right word. There's a much greater focus on getting them to Arcakapa's afterlife, because that's how he remains alive. That's how we decided that's how she remains alive, remains relevant, it's basically a form of worship, and the worship ends with you going to that god's afterlife. Perfect, makes sense, great. Aaron, at the end of the narrative, and this is less big picture, this is more specific, small picture, narrative picture.
Yeah.
Sacrifices himself at the end to keep Anna, the cop, her body alive. His basically last living actual maternal figure. Keeps her body alive, but also in a twisted way. And I guess part of the one question I have is that, does he do it knowing that he's keeping her from the afterlife? And does he do that intentionally? Like maybe he's saving her in some twisted way? Or does he do it just... I don't know. We can figure that out.
Well,
He keeps her in limbo. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm thinking maybe it could be like he opens his eyes as a shell and like the meat of it at the same time, and he tears one of the parasites off of her shell, basically, like releasing it without realizing that at the same time this act also keeps her there, because there's a part of her shell from the parasite that is on the other side. Almost.
That's interesting. 'Cause, no, I think we need to workshop that a little bit, but I do love the idea of the parasites being, I used the word ecosystem before. They need to be a part of the ecosystem. The apocalyptic gods are not fans of the parasites, because the parasites are going to eat the people that they need. Yeah. But the parasites, what they do accomplish is keeping people out of the mall, because the mall is the thing that really removes people from the apocalyptic god's control. So there's a fine line in between parasitic infection, where the shell's trying to kill the human, which is good for the apocalyptic gods, and full detachment, where the parasite is gone, because then you just move on to the afterlife. So what if, when the parasite is removed from the shell, that creates a vacuum, and therefore when the humanity dies, it returns to the shell, not to any either afterlife. It doesn't get digested. It doesn't get sent to the afterlife. It just gets shelled, which is what happened to Skylar, because the parasite is the one thing that actually makes it a one or the other. When the parasite is gone, you just get stuck. The parasite is
Yeah.
actually a necessary part of digestion.
Mhm.
I think that's how
Yes.
we do it. I think
Yeah.
that's how we do it.
And
Where did
I
Eugene
think-
go? Sorry, what did you say? What were you going to say?
So I think the reason that like normal humans don't get chased by flesh monsters is because normally they do this after they die in our world. Like that's when they attach. I
The
think
parasites
but-
attach to the parasites attach to the shell, and the humanity goes somewhere else because it bumps up against the parasite and can't,
Yeah.
and so it goes that direction.
Yeah, but
Gotcha.
because as you go in the mall, you get closer and closer to combining the two. That's like there's another parasite starts forming on like the flesh part of it. That's how it that's like as you get closer, that's why they start hallucinating, getting the
Right.
weird
That's why it gets more
based
visceral.
on their fear.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what Aaron does near the end, and this is a small part of it. But what Aaron does is he kills the visceral part of it. I'm doing a shotgun, I guess, but he finds a way. He hits it with a fire hydrant, like whatever. This is part of the nitty gritty of the part that if we write this book, we'll figure out later. But
He shoots it with a memory of the gun that was used to kill his mother.
dude, there's a world. There's a world where that's actually what happens. But for real, he kills it, and in that sense has saved. Yes, because what's great is that parasites aren't fun. They're still an antagonist. That's still going to be a really painful death that sends Anna to the good place, as it were. He saves her from the painful death. Boom, stuck in the mall forever now. Because he did what viscerally I think most protagonists would do, which is stop the pain from happening.
Yeah.
But it happens inside the mall. Right. And if he did it outside the mall, Anna just would have gotten digested. But that's what the mall does. The mall is the safety net where... So the parasite weirdly actually has become the most relevant entity in deciding where a person goes. Because you need the parasite to be there. It's the ingredient, it's the primer that sends you in one direction or the other. Otherwise, your soul just returns to your body and you're stuck wherever you were. And I think in that sense, I think we should establish, once you get, I think reshelled is maybe the best way to put it. Once your humanity, after you die, is reconnected to your body, we can call that reshelling. Death takes on a very different meaning. You just come back after you die. Same spot, same location, can't move on. No memory?
Yes.
That feels like a good way to keep Skylar like as a relevant figure in the narrative. So you still fear for her life before you know the reveal.
Yeah, because like the memories are like the memories are sort of trapped there. That's also part of what Aaron, I keep wanting to say Eric. Aaron does it by like grabbing basically his parents' memories and taking them back. Because part of their memory is still there from
Can I
death
pitch
and
something
stuff
stupid?
Sure,
all the
go
memories
for
are
it.
just in one random store in the mall. Like there's a literal location you can go to find them. Like they're archived somehow.
Oh my!
Like a
Okay,
Blockbuster. There's like
I was
don't
about
know.
to say that they're like represented by like vinyl record or something.
That's cool too.
Like that.
Yeah,
Like,
anything like that. If you want to do
Like, he,
records,
like,
I'm
literally- he,
so
like-
down with records.
yeah, because like they're like compact and like you can like funnel through them, find the one with like his parents' names and
Yeah.
like play them
Yeah,
and like
and playing
Yeah.
them somehow releases them because whatever. It's a cosmic horror story.
Yeah.
Fine, sure.
yeah, because at that point you're like right next to both of them.
Yeah.
That's when reality and like actual reality start
Yeah.
being all weird.
I think a good safety net in this story is just to say when you're at that when you're towing the line between like reality and the afterlife and infinity and all that stuff, it's just like metaphorical actions and meaningful actions
Yeah.
become more powerful just because like that's what it means at that threshold. Okay.
Yeah.
To return to my earlier question, what happened to Eugene after he made the deal? And
Um,
do we think he knew what was going to happen, or did he get tricked?
I don't think he got tricked. I just think that neither him nor like the good whatever.
Arkakapa. We can call them Arkakapa.
Yeah,
Or Arkakapa.
her name is
Yeah.
Arkakapa. Arkakapa.
Arkakapa. Maybe we'll find a different name, but for now,
Yeah.
Arkakapa.
But Arkakapa is like she doesn't know exactly when like the apocalypse is going to happen, so she can't fully warn Eugene ahead of time.
She's not a precog. That's fair.
Yeah. But basically because it happens like right around Y2K, that's like Eugene is the one who thinks I should stay in the mall 24/7. So he builds like this, he stays in his office and basically he has like all of the like apocalypse like stuff like ready.
Mm-hmm.
And then it happens and he is permanently in his like at whatever age he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he lives forever in this mall. Basically.
Right. I forgot we established that. That's so perfect.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he's still in the mall. Oh, I just woke my girlfriend up. Sorry, baby. I was like, oh, he still lives in the mall. And right back down she goes. Okay. He still lives in the mall. But that's perfect. He's almost like a doomsday prepper, but he doesn't know when it's going to happen. But he and Arkakapa both know that it is going to happen. And so beyond just giving him like wealth in his time as the leader of the mall, she's also like, yeah, I'll keep you alive here for as long as you want. But also, is she technically reshelling him as well? Like that's kind of part of the horror of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I almost think that he's like what do they call it in D&D? A focus. He is a resource through which this ritual is performed. Like he is a necessary ingredient of it. And I think it could be interesting if he knew that and in his own way was being benevolent and keeping himself alive for that. Like choosing not to like leave the mall or whatever. But it could also be interesting if he was trapped there. If he was just being trapped as an ingredient, showing that Arkakapa was not benevolent and just had her own means. So I'm curious which one you find more compelling.
I don't know. They both really work because like when Aaron and Eugene meet, is it going to be that like Eugene is a mentor or Eugene is a warning almost?
Have you ever played Bioshock?
Like oh yeah.
Here's a question. I'm gonna frame it to you this way: is Eugene Atlas or is Eugene Andrew Ryan? Andrew Ryan, insofar as he had a vision and he maintained it and died with that vision, or rather, succumbed to it in this sense because he's not dying, or is he trying to find a way to change things and he's using Aaron to try to bring down the mall to end his own torment or to reach his own form of afterlife? Like, I guess that's the question you're asking anyway. Is he manipulating? Is he a mentor? Or is he just a byproduct? Like, there is truly a world where Aaron and Eugene meet and Eugene's like, dude, this whole situation sucks. I didn't ask for you to come here. You came here. I didn't ask to be this. I am this. Any of those are fun to me, but I'm just curious what's going to be the most impactful.
I think if it's like the last one where it's like he is here and like he doesn't want to stay here forever, but he didn't fully understand the terms of his agreement when he like erected the mall to be this thing that he would have to stay behind. And like he would permanently be like in the limbo, just like Skylar is.
It's weird, and I know I mentioned earlier, like, oh, we're getting pretty Christian here. I'm gonna actually go intentionally into it because I a little bit of Connor trivia. As a non-religious person, I actually really love some religious symbolism.
Same, yeah.
Right? It just works. It just works. it kind of puts Eugene into the role of a savior. Like, it's not quite the same as like Jesus coming back to life, because that's its own thing, but it is like, I have sacrificed myself so that anyone who comes to this place can have a better fate than me. And Jesus did go to heaven, and that's where the, it falls apart pretty quickly when you analyze it. But I do love the idea of him not necessarily being altruistic, but he's also not being tortured. It is psychological torture, because I do think, like, no matter what, he's going to experience the cosmic horrors of the mall, which at this point is basically all we have left. We just have to find the spooky bits. Because we found the major narrative. But at the same time, he's not, he's not getting digested. He's just like anyone else in this limbo. He's just kind of stuck in a weird spot. And I like the idea that he has no control over it, but I also still partially like the idea that he could leave if he wanted to and has chosen not to, because it leaves the horrifying idea open that if he leaves, this all ends and the apocalypse still wins.
I do like that. Yeah. Like he is staying here.
Yeah. Here's another question. If for whatever reason he did leave, or he died, or whatever, and the apocalypse was able to descend on the mall, and I guess kill Arkakapa, do the people that Arkakapa have brought to this other afterlife get consumed anyway? Like, is it necessary to keep Arkakapa alive, to keep the people that Arkakapa has taken to her own afterlife? Is her life necessary for maintaining this space, or is she just the point of transmission, and after that point you're fine? Like, is she a complete savior, or is she a savior right now?
I do like like I said earlier, I like the idea of being like the bridge almost.
Right.
Like,
and when you collapse a bridge, if someone's on the other side, they're still on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. It's just that there's no other way to get there.
Sure. Okay. So Aaron's happy ending is a permanent happy ending. Quote unquote happy.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's great for a narrative. And there's still so much, horror in the concept of that final lifeline being gone. A couple people got saved, great, but like, you have to imagine how many people actually die in that mall realistically. Like 4 or 5 people. Like, this is such a microcosm. So I think it does still work. Like, the majority of the situation is incredibly bleak. So no, that's great. Okay. All right. Weirdly, I didn't think that we were going to reach this point, but I actually feel like we found like the majority of the internal logic of this story. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is your podcast, your video, your journey. I don't know how you want to do things. Is there more that you want to do with this currently, or is this a good time to call it? What do you think? I
don't know. I think this might be a good time to call it, because my initial idea for this episode was, we'll do a short. We'll write a little short story, flash fiction. Maybe we'll do a dramatic reading of it or something like that if it gets to that point.
Sure.
We have built the blocks for an entire novel length story.
Yeah, I agree. So first things first, here's what I'm going to say. We have not discussed this in advance, but I would love to have you on my podcast if you're interested at all in that. I would love to talk about creative world building and stuff, because clearly you have a knack for it, and you have a real. And I can't believe I had forgotten about the cold bodies thing, because I did know that about you, but it just lost my mind. I already knew you were a good writer, so I'm very impressed. This entire conversation has been really invigorating, honestly, creatively. So that's been awesome. But beyond that, like, this is a fun idea to explore, and we're talking about it in a novel sense, which is the way that I conceptualize most of my stories when I'm initially coming up with them. But like, there's a lot of other ways to tell a story. I mentioned D&D earlier. That's one idea. I feel like that with the type of narrative we've come up with, that would be a little harder to accomplish. But I am just curious to explore this idea a little bit more and I'm obviously curious to explore it with you. Yeah, really interesting, really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on. This is actually I've said it a couple times. I did not know what to expect. This has been so fun, a great time.
Yeah, I genuinely, I think this might be like one of the funner like podcast episodes that I have recorded.
Sure.
Like this is, yeah. I thank you for like coming on to the podcast. Like it's awesome having you. Like
happy to do it.
I've been watching you for years now.
Oh, wow, it's crazy. It actually, people can say that. That's weird. Yeah.
It was like it was a big thing to me when you read Cold Bodies. And
right.
Like,
sure.
Yeah. This is even cooler.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm sure that you can imagine how meaningful that would be, but like truly this is the thing that I think a lot of smaller to up and coming YouTubers, however you want to phrase it, this is what they want. This is what I wanted, at least. My favorite part of becoming a creator has been the ability to meet more people in the community, because truthfully I have no friends who are like really into horror like me, who are really into writing like me. So it's been a great way to meet people. It's been a great way to become exposed to the art and the writing of other people, and we're reaching a point now where it's a great way to meet collaborators down the line. And I truthfully, and I mean this, you are an impressive, you have an impressive mind and an impressive creativity, and I really, while we were talking today for like 3 hours, maybe a little longer than that, or somewhere in that range, I could really feel that, and I'm very impressed, and I would love to talk to you more about this kind of stuff. It's really great.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, yeah, are there any I guess I was gonna say, are there any upcoming projects you want like plug or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't know what your release schedule is like, so it's possible that the stuff I'm working on currently will be out by the time this comes out. But subscribe to my channel. I'm always working on video essays. I host writing competitions. I am bad at judging them because I get a lot of submissions, but I recently chose a new winner, and there's going to be another one. I do them every 2 months. What's up?
I just realized, isn't your April/May, isn't it the theme Abandoned?
It's March, April, but yeah, it is.
Yeah. I didn't even realize we did that.
Yeah, just happened to work out, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing my works, which are a lot less of what happened today and more analyses of other people's fiction, criticisms of other people's fiction, a lot of horror YouTube, you can find me. It's my name. If you want it's at SpookyMCG. But yeah, I don't know. This was so fun. This was sick.
Yeah, this was a really fun podcast. I'm so happy to have you on.
Really good time. Yeah. All right.
Well, yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out all the other episodes of this podcast. Feel free to clip it. I believe that's something that viewers can do. You can make clips of videos and podcasts and stuff. You should totally do that to share with all your friends.
Is this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff, or is it just on YouTube?
It's just on YouTube for now, but it might be on at some point.
Cool.
But yeah, check out all the stuff. Support Connor, because again, this is such a fun. It's such a fun thing that we just
so cool.
Talked about.
True. Yeah, really fun, really great for me. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really great.
Yeah.
All right. Bye everybody. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for coming.
Of course.